He's like, okay, I made it. I'm good.
Sounds like
Good.
Groly
Yeah,
is
I'm
not an Eagles fan.
No. Kansas City just scored, so we're leading. I got the
Okay.
red going behind me.
Okay. Hey man, I've been dabbing and sharing this with everybody. Good job on this.
Hell yeah, dude.
I can't get this fucking thing to focus, but there you go. Cobra Milk. You got
There
it
you
in
go.
focus.
There it is.
Good stuff. I was actually Inika B. Shout out to him. He was just out today, and I was sharing with him.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait to harvest more of that. That's I got some lime skunk and clementine coming down next, but Cobra Milk is coming next after that, and there's 6 of them, light and a half worth. We get several runs. I'm very excited to share that. Probably come. I don't know if it'll be before Hash Bash Cup, but maybe.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, chat. What's up?
It's almost
Cheers, Becca and Red. I see you guys made it. What's going on?
Hey, what's happening?
Cheers, guys.
Come on, everybody.
Hey, back.
Just enjoying the weather this week.
Dude, it was like 51 degrees today, man.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
sunny for like the last. It's like if the sun is out, it's shining down and hot. It's weird. It's like it's like 60 in the sun. It's crazy.
I got more, or we've been getting more sunshine this week in Michigan than I did in San Diego last week. And sorry for missing, but I was trying to enjoy some weather out there. But it was like 62 degrees. I mean, we had one day of like 72 and sunny, but it was a little,
I thought they said it never rains in Southern California was the old song.
There was a landslide on their beach for the first time.
There's another old song. See the Fleetwood Mac song now.
They had the first landslide in like almost or maybe just over 40 years or something like that down there just before I got there because they had so much rain. Their cliffs were falling into the beach or the ocean, I guess.
Wow.
Not good.
That and a lot of roofs around like LA and that area turned out to be leaky roofs. They just don't get enough rain to know it, you know? So every like once in a decade or two, they find out they got to patch some roofs.
I also, for Rolly, was over to and visited over at Bake's house and tried both the radioactive and the. Actually, I have some of that radioactive and the Chernobyl. God damn, they're both good, man. Both good. I think I like the radioactive. Just etches it out a little bit. I think I like it a little bit better. I think. I don't know. I keep going back.
Flavor. I mean, that's really what it came down to for me. I really like appreciated the Chernobyl's flavor on its own because I don't know if I've ever really smoked that before, and I did get that kind of lime sherbety kind of like whatever flavor out of it. But yeah, when you start adding in the other, you know, it's just like you have this almost like you guys were talking about. I think on the late session, I was listening to that earlier. You guys were talking about it, and it's like a triple layer. That and I forget who it was. Maybe it was Bake said one of his friends tried it and it made him feel like he took a Percocet or something like that, super narcotic, you know, kind of feeling. So that's, you know, definitely some value there.
Absolutely, man. That's, I don't know. I can't know if I could pinpoint that one specifically because I was dabbing fucking everything. I wanted to try all the flavors, but yeah, I was definitely feeling good afterwards.
Speaking of flavors, I got 3 new flavors coming out. I guess probably in the next week or two, maybe by the craft affair on the 19th here in Lansing. I'm pretty sure I can speak for Red and Becca too. I think we'll both be there vending our wares. But yeah, I mean, I've got 3 new flavors. They're all 3 collab runs, and I probably have 1 or 2 more coming in addition to possibly that lime skunk and clementine I mentioned earlier. But yeah, it's Point Break mixed with clementine is the first one. And then I also mixed that with garlic punch. So Point Break is, from my understanding, more of like a citrusy kind of leaning strain, kind of that orange flavor as well. So combine that with clementine, also combine it with garlic punch to give it the kind of that like lemon garlic punch flavor, if you will. We'll see.
Complex flavor.
Yeah. And then also Mr. Nasty is the 3rd flavor I have to work with. I haven't used that one yet. I think that's a GMO cross, but
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what was the other one? Point Break, Mr. Nasty. I don't know. It was on my Instagram stories, but it's
thought he was going to leave us hanging in suspense there.
I'll have to look.
Check his Instagram.
Yeah, right. But it's another
That's
like
a sly way to drive traffic to your Instagram. I see
what you're doing, bro.
At Fergoli _ and at Fergoli. I got that one back too. But there it is. Cap Junkie. That's what it was. So Cab Junkie cross it or mixed with garlic punch. So a couple more like garlicky kind of crosses. So it's just fun to be able to use, other people's flower and genetics, especially when it's fresh frozen. It's quality. It's, nice, dense, purpley nugs. Just ran his wedding pie 321 genetics. Check him out on Instagram as well. But it's always great to collab with people, whether it be Baked or someone else on this panel or other friends of mine. And like I said, all 6-7 plus of those flavors may be available as soon as Sunday, a week from today. Hope to see you guys there.
Cool.
We'll be there. I need some flavors. I'm down to my last little bit.
I know I've only got like
Next
a gram and a
Sunday,
half of dry
Sunday.
sif left. I might need to re-up on some of that, guys.
Cool. I just actually
Yeah,
got some GMO dry sift again. Thank you very
Nice.
much. Red.
We're fresh on GMO. Like everything right now. Strawberries and cream, Gorilla Breath, Lemon Dozy Dough,
Ooh, I just got some.
Granddaddy Purple. We got a whole lineup. We even have a little bit of Death Star left. We'll have some Flow and Death Star left still. But yeah, we'll definitely have our strawberries and cream and everything. And we have some of these seeds packed up. Also, the green room packs. The green room with these are all untested green room, and pretty much all of that I just listed. Females. Green room would be the male. So CBD would be untested, and we're basically just fundraising for a greenhouse. So, super cheap on those stuff, like $20, and I'll throw you a shit ton of seeds type thing. Or just come out and hang out, and I'll throw you seeds anyways. Probably shooting the shit with me. I'm always giving people shit, and I mean giving people free shit, not giving people like noogies and shit. So.
No titty twisters then. That's what you're saying.
I'll give you a titty twister if you want one, but you'll probably just get some
No, you
seeds.
won't.
Maybe a mushroom crystal.
Becca said no to the titty twisters, so come by and get some beans thrown at you.
People will donate, and then we'll just keep giving them free shit. And then they keep donating, and then we just keep giving them.
More.
Well, here, how about this? They're like, all right, well, here, how about this?
Try this on for size. Put this in your pipe and smoke it. How do you like them apples?
Yeah, I mean, no, realistically, we are working on expanding our stuff, so we definitely have to, work our little tushes off, helping out that side of town's really cool, man. There's a handful of regulars coming through there that are, turning out to be near and dear friends to us, man. They're really, really cool. Some of these people come in there and making sure that we're going to be there. Hopefully the access loop stays solid throughout there, and it's going to be nice having Fagroli back there. It's quality products in there, man. All the goodies, edibles. There was even like non-cannabis type vendors. Like, dude had like all of his like squash, farm goods, salsas, all kinds of stuff up there. I'm blanking on his name, but I believe he also had cannabis and some stuff. But
Grease City.
very similar to what Becca and I do, with just having their own products. Grease City,
It's like Great Lakes Grease.
Great Lakes, something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
man.
there's somebody, and he comes and he brings these like custom metal signs that he does. Super cool. I got
Laser
a couple
engraved
little
signs.
gifts from there. It's just cool that there's local people that you can get like gifts for other people from, non-cannabis things. I like the small people a lot more.
I don't know if they have any spaces available, but on the 14th, Valentine's Day, they're having a little puff paint in like a small get together. We're not gonna be able to make it for any of that, but they have sign up. They're doing like sign-ups type thing. You buy a ticket for it. You go do a little date night puff paint, and there's gonna be limited vendor type thing. If it's even vendor, it might just be a gathering. It sounds cool, man. I wish we could make it, but we're gonna be at our farm doing our thing. Out by our farm, we stopped at a little bar the other night. I suppose that was our Valentine's Day beer. We went out and hit up what was it called? Big Sky Brewery. That was a pretty cool place. They're gonna have a winery and stuff, and they're like, yeah, man, we're ready to break some soil out here, and that's the big the big thing. We want to start breaking some soil out in that Irish Hills area and get our cannabis outside. That loamy.
I'll get him.
You gonna go get him? It's like loamy sand, dude. I just want to roll around in that fucking dirt so bad, dude. We were out there walking.
What are you, a horse now? You roll around in the dirt to get clean?
So we have a
I
septic.
mean, Red Setter, he is a dog, you know.
We got our leach field is like right in the middle of our fucking property, dude. It kind of sucks. I got the map from, you know, back when they installed it. You know, it's not that old, man. The building itself was built in like, I don't know, the early 2000s sometime, and so the septic tank's only like 25 years old, something like that. So where it's at though is just kind of like right smack in the fucking middle of the property, you know. So we don't have much space to utilize for a garden. We're on almost 2 acres, like 1.75 acres, and we're only going to be able to utilize like a quarter acre for garden space. Well, anyway, the soil, dude, we're out there walking it yesterday, taking some measurements and shit, trying to see like where we can get away from, like how far from the leach field we can go. It's some nice big mounds, so it's all raised. We can get a good 10 feet from the leach field, you know. Deer tracks and deer shit everywhere. We couldn't take a step. I haven't seen Daddy Red in here yet. Daddy Red, shout out Daddy Red if he's in chat yet. He'd be pretty excited to hear. There's just deer shit everywhere. Just, I don't know what type of fertilizer we can get from deer shit. I'd imagine it's pretty good. Probably pretty active. There might be like, they look like rabbit shit, and they're kind of like sheep, and they're
There's a bunch of
rooted
cornfields around there.
bunch
something
of
like that.
cornfields.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably good.
yeah, a lot of cornfields, but there's just so much shit, dude. We couldn't take a step with, and what's really cool is that their little feet, dude, have just been poking and aerating the soil. I should have been out there this year with a crossbow or something hunting them, but that I didn't. Again, the property is so small. We're gonna start putting some fences up, and I'm thinking 6 feet, but I think we're capped at 6 feet. So I'm gonna have to, like, if I go any taller, call it a trellis or something. But it's gonna be pretty interesting trying to build a garden out there where we don't live, where there's a lot of deer. Deer activity is going to be the main opponent. There's a little bit of groundhog activity and shit. Like deer and septic waste is the main opponent. So it's going to be really interesting. We've owned the property for like 8 years, and I've not sprayed one damn chemical on the property. I think it's only like $750, and my neighbor is not conventional. They haven't sprayed nothing on their property, and I might not even need a buffer zone. I might be able to actually get a organic seal on our property because it's pretty nice. But it's Grapevine neighborhood, man. They got a lot of wineries out there. It'd be really cool to have.
Gotta test the soil.
Yeah, we gotta get our soil tested and stuff. But there hasn't been any plows on it, for my understanding. All the neighbors in the area have just been sitting on the land, you know. They don't do shit with it. There's like a couple cornfields here and there, but it's pretty nice. It's really sandy. I'm excited to break into it though. We're gonna do some flowers. We're gonna tarp off some areas and do a whole bunch of pollinator gardens to start, and maybe fruit trees. Fruit tree guilds, a lot of perennials and things that we don't need to give it a lot of attention to. Watering, but things that will bring in wildlife.
Fruit trees are it takes a surprising amount of attention. To be fair.
Red, you gonna stand on the inside of your enclosure and piss around it to keep the deer away?
I'm gonna try to do something, that's for sure.
I was thinking maybe just garlic spray, but you know, that would work too.
Well,
Human
I
piss works really well
I
too.
plan
It
to
helps.
do a big garlic garden, you know, at the end of the season. Probably do that, do a big garlic plant out at the end of the season. But I'm thinking like lavender and just whatever else. I'm gonna look into a bunch of deer repellent type plants, things like that. But lavender,
Like lemon balm or lemongrass or anything like that help?
I'm not sure if they do, but if they do, we will be growing them. That's the type of stuff, you know, and especially if it's perennial, you know, whatever type of perennial type stuff we can perimeter around. We're gonna,
And the main goal is to put a fence around the whole thing,
yeah,
like 6 feet or bigger,
around the whole like garden.
whole property.
Yeah,
To keep them out even further, one
Yeah.
step away.
It's a lot of fence line to do if you're doing the whole property.
Property would not be anytime soon if we even did the whole property. My idea is to do more of like a living fence outside of where the garden space is. There's a lot of other areas though that we kind of need to include. I mean, I end up doing like little, I call them paddocks, like little paddocks of little fences, like little garden paddocks. I've got 4 of them, I think, right now, maybe 5 or 6 of them actually in our garden right here. So, start with one area, and then as you expand, just keep creating little fenced off areas, as your budget and your time will allow to get bigger, rather than building one huge fence. And it might be more materials. But we try to like source our materials. Like if we can find some free fencing, we use that. Somebody's throwing some shit away. We use wood. We got one of our fences is a tree. Tree fell down in my neighbor's yard, and I chopped it up and buried some of the logs and made fence posts and weaves.
Remind me, maybe next time you guys are out here, we'll have to take a look. I'm pretty sure I have hundreds and hundreds of feet of fencing, just like old leftover fencing. Probably like
like that 4-foot fencing stuff. That
it's probably 4 or 5 foot, but it's like it's not chicken wire. What is like the welded wire? I think is what it's called, welded wire.
Yeah,
but it's
Yeah,
not
it's
like the
cattle
big
fencing.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the 10-foot pieces. It's like the rolls of them, but it's more than just chicken wire.
Yeah.
We'll be there tomorrow.
That's
Bring some hash.
Yeah, I kind of did some calculations. It looks like we need probably 50 T posts, and if we're doing a 6-foot fence, we basically need 8 or 10-foot T posts.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might even want 10 foot if you're going up against deer.
Yeah.
You could definitely get away with 8 foot. They'll probably respect the fence. Honestly, they don't. I've only seen them hop my 4-foot fences a couple times. They don't really
They can
rather
jump
just go around.
for sure.
Oh yeah,
I've seen-
if they really want to.
They'll take
I've
the
fucking
6-foot
seen it.
fence, but we're definitely dude. The activity is just insane. I walked out the building a week ago the other night, and they're just standing at the end of my driveway. 2 or
You should
3.
get yourself a trail camera or two.
They're
Just
like, what up?
Which you could-
$60 one or something.
What you could do is if you do a 6-foot fence,
Cameras on my building all the time, just walking down my driveway. Say that again, Spartan. Go ahead, sir.
so if you get a 6-foot fence, do like they do at the prison and put those stakes above the fence line and put strands of
barbed
barbed
wire.
wire.
Like the Constantine wire on top.
Oh, what I do? That's where the 10-foot T
I thought you were gonna
post.
put the ankle breakers in between.
If I could do the 10-foot T post, then I could probably get it in the ground. 3.
Oh, dude, do you really want to stand on a fucking step ladder and beat
No.
the shit out of
No, dude.
75 of these
I got an
10-foot
8-foot
posts?
ladder. I got an
Well, not that many. I was gonna say I had to do that for my outdoor garden 2 years ago. Just 'cause
You were
I
a younger
did-
man 2 years ago as well.
I mean, technically that's the truth.
We did 3 T posts back here for our tomatoes, to stake up our tomatoes and shit like that. And that wasn't that bad, but I mean, I sunk those fuckers 3 solid feet into the ground. I at least go down frost line usually when I'm doing any kind of digging for, I don't know, semi-permanent structure or anything like that. But our frost lines probably going down this year. I mean, it's probably 24 inches
Like
this year.
what frost, right?
Overkill at 36 inches this year, I'm sure. But
Yeah, what's going on with the winter this year, guys? I thought it was supposed to be like a super crazy winter or something.
it was.
Well, it's supposed to in another week, I think. It's
You
supposed
really
to.
gonna try to fucking tempt fate and talk?
Hey
shit?
man, Groundhog Day
Sure.
came and went. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Like,
Get your
Man.
shovels ready, man.
Winter
the
now
plow's
exists
still on. It's. I mean, I've used it twice. I think.
I'm glad I don't live close to you now.
Right?
You're gonna get
We
you're gonna
can
get
just-
snow dumped
Hey,
on you.
whatever's
and,
coming my way is
fucking-
gonna hit Skilbo eventually.
No shit, man. Probably in like less than an hour, man. Hey, did you see that crazy shit, dude? They
Which
have
one,
of those-
man?
It's
Which
well,
fucking one?
obviously the one that hits close to home over Lake Huron.
Lake Huron?
Like,
Yeah,
yo.
bro.
Yeah, like Huron, man.
That's well, I would say UFO
4.
number 4, technically UFO number 3, because the first one was the Chinese spy
UAW.
balloon.
No,
Yeah.
actually, but by the reports that I've read, all of them have been identified by at least some officials as balloons, except for this last one. I haven't heard anybody say that one's a balloon yet.
All I heard was octagonal shape, and it took me a
They're
couple
throwing
times to
stop
read
signs
that out
at us,
loud.
man.
But
Octagonal? Yes.
octagonal.
Octagonal, man. Octagonal.
We'll see what they say when they recover the wreckage.
Well,
Maybe there's
they
beans
probably
in
won't
there.
say
Maybe
much,
that's what it
but
was.
But what it was is they
Cover
upgraded
crop
their. I don't know the specific technology, but we'll say
NORAD, like
they upgraded the surveillance, and they're able to detect smaller objects and slower moving objects now. And so then it's not like this is something that's just all showing up all at once. This is something that now they can actually detect them. And then
So-
go
I
up
realize that 60,000 feet is like 6 miles in the air.
Yeah,
Right?
some are only
it's way
20.
more than
Yeah,
that.
10
Yeah,
miles.
it's way more.
I've heard one at 40. The first one was 40. Then I heard the second, or maybe it was the third one was at 20, and the fourth one was 60.
So no, the first one was at 60,000. That was like the three, like the size of a jetliner or whatever, with the
Big
radar,
one.
like the Chinese, the one we shot down over North Carolina. The
Yeah.
other three were much smaller.
Yeah.
And they were flying lower. I think I read at 40,000 feet. Airlines fly at 30 to 35,000 or so. So that was kind of their take, is like, okay, this is kind of like getting dangerous or whatever. I will say though, in sort of relation to what you said about the technology being upgraded, that might be it. But they also said something about during Trump's presidency, there was at least 3 of them. And either they didn't tell him about it because, we all know how that tweet storm would have went, or they just didn't know about it at the time. And now they do know, looking back at the data that they've already collected, because we know how that NSA and these, or 3-letter agencies work. They can go
NORAD.
back and watch any of our shows that we deleted for infinity. You know what I mean?
Hey, what's up, guys? Cheers.
Yeah.
Let's get a hashtag for them and shit.
yeah. So they basically, what I read is they changed their parameters of their kind of that system, right? So instead of just saying, hey, anything between 5,000 and 35,000 feet, let's just kick it up to 60 or 75,000, and all of a sudden you start seeing, maybe it's all these other weather balloons and stuff, but maybe you can start deciphering, those from other objects. And now you're, and maybe it was just because someone, some civilian or something saw it early on, and then you had to address it. Who knows? But I don't know. I'd love for some real conspiracies to get going with this, but I'd also love them to just tell us what the heck's going on.
I was watching something that was totally unrelated to those incidences, any of that kind of stuff. But they were like launching a rock, trying to drop an egg from space. Okay, so this is what I was watching. They were trying to drop an egg from space and see if, to protect it from cracking. You know what I mean? And they successfully dropped the egg from space. And so they used a weather balloon. And they were able to calculate their landing. They were able to calculate their release point, like where to let the balloon or rocket take off from, so that the egg could land in a designated landing zone. You know what I mean? So, and they would use the weather forecast or local weather balloons. And I didn't know this, but apparently all over the world, there's thousands, up 2, maybe more, 1,000 weather balloons that are released every single day, and they pop and end up somewhere every single day.
It's like 3,000 of them 3 times a day or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a massive amount of them get released every day, and it's to the T by the second, a global coordination thing, so that all that data can be coordinated properly and everything. And I don't know. I read a little bit about those too, and it's there's so much floating up there. I mean, we used to just talk about how many satellites are up there, especially with Starlink getting online and stuff. And now we're looking at this near space stuff. It's a little closer. It's kind of messy up there.
I thought it was the TikTok satellites with these balloons. They're just going cheap now, man. The budget cuts, bro.
Hey, man, pandemic killed us all. Took a toll on the economy. We got to do what we got to do. I thought helium was scarce, but apparently not. Hey, all I would say is I got shot down today by Mrs. Ferroli. I wanted to fly. I wanted to fly my drone with a little balloon attached to it. She's like, "No, you're gonna get shot. That thing's gonna get shot down. You're gonna be someone's gonna shoot the thing down." I'm like, oh, it'd be so funny. She was not. She was very serious.
Out there where you're at. Oh yeah.
They like to shoot where you're at for girls.
Oh yeah. Shotguns come out real quick.
Dude, they're out. Yeah,
where
you're out. They're waiting.
Yeah, they're looking right now.
They're waiting.
Is that Mars?
Oh.
No UFOs coming
man.
down here on our place. Livings.
I will say, I
Red,
think it was
don't have to worry, Red, because you'll be that take me to your leader kind of person. They'll
I'll be like, here, man. Hey, check this out.
rainbow driver, dude.
like
Oh,
an
God,
Independence
world,
Day. He'll be
bro.
the one standing at the top of the building, like celebrating their, coming and everything.
I got weed.
I don't want to go anywhere in space. That sounds.
Oh,
totally
don't worry. They're just going to pull Red up for a few minutes. They want to do a couple of tests, and then they're going to send it back down. But he's probably going to need one of those little rings to sit on.
As
after.
long as I don't have to wear any kind of a suit with a helmet or nothing. Sorry,
You know,
pressurized.
Suits, no helmet, but give me the ring. I'm good with the ring.
Pressurized and has gravity and all that. Be all right. Actually, I would like to experience the zero gravity. That'd be kind of cool. But
That'd be pretty sweet.
But like
Need a deprivation chamber.
I feel like would make me so sick. You might be fine, but I've done the like G-force thing at Disney World where it's like you're going up to space, and I got so sick. I did it multiple times, different times, and at both times I got sick, and so I just think I couldn't handle it.
we used to do the G-force thing in the elevator at the Masonic Temple. That was the anti-gravity elevator. The old guy would get us a freight elevator because the freight elevator had, I think it had different floors that it could access and stuff like that. And the Masonic Temples, I've talked about it in the past, is a fucking cool place. Downtown Detroit. It's kind of like the Phantom of the Opera, literally place. Like it's where the operas are held, and has old basements with ballrooms and shit and phantoms. And
You ever gone upstairs in that place and
I've
started
been
exploring?
everywhere. I've been everywhere from the rooftop to the swimming pool to the Knights Templar rooms. I've been stuck locked in one of those boring fucking Masonic rooms for hours waiting for my dad. And I would just wander the fucking building, dude. And then there would be like 3 or 4 of us kids about the same age. All of our dads would just be in meeting, and we would just be wandering that building. We'd be smoking cigarettes down in the ballroom. There were nobody there. There'd be like 3 groups of Masons
massive.
on like the 7th or 8th floor.
Yeah.
Like one security guard sitting at the front. Not today. Like today, it's much different.
Did you find the hidden chamber that goes and leads between the paws of the Sphinx, Red, or not?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah,
It's
dude.
upstairs.
We would go play.
It's upstairs. They don't know that. They don't tell you that part. It's on the second floor.
We would go down. We'd go into like. There's so many theaters in this, dude. I don't even know. There's a theater on like every fucking floor. There's a theater, at least for the first like 3 floors. Then there's a gymnasium on like the 5th floor. I went and like back when I was a smoker, I went and smoked a joint up in that gymnasium. And I went to a wedding. I was attending a wedding one time, and I was like, "Hey, I know this building." And I took off up the stairs, take a quick look. All right, no security. Jump over the fucking stanchion real fast. Go upstairs and ran into the gymnasium. Smoked a joint. There's nobody up there.
That's exactly what I did last
Mission
time.
Impossible.
Yeah,
Red
you
Setter.
just go up 3 or 4 floors and fucking.
Is that a wedding? Yeah. They just all they have is a red rope covering the stairs. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, I'll go
yeah.
walk right over there.
Yoink, just move it aside.
Yeah, that's it. The red stanchion, the red velvet rope, and it's a fun fucking building though. And I've been to some really cool.
It's all fun and games until the ghost of Hiram Abyss.
Really cool, like
Quick
formal ceremonies and shit at that place, like Masonic ceremonies and things. Watching people get like
Sacrifice?
sacrificed,
Yeah, man, for sure.
pretty much sacrificed.
You notice that Daddy Red is not in the chat too. Otherwise, he would be definitely correcting us on all of these misspoken points.
There's like a lot of lies.
None of it is true.
There's a lot of
None of it's true.
hallways, a lot of tunnels, a lot of crazy
I've been
stuff.
to cool concerts there, but like
A lot of concerts there.
where's the part that you're talking about? Like in front
Upstairs. You just keep going upstairs.
Levels,
Just
yeah,
keep
just
going
different up, yeah. And
Oh.
then like the basement's really cool. The ballrooms in the basement. I've been to a few things in the basement that involve like
of yeah.
well, I've been to like concerts and stuff in the basement, but there's like
Big
Is there a
fire
bunch of
rings
chanting and stuff like that. Is there a big owl underneath
Well,
there that they were
well, we
all?
used to like, the kitchen, the basement
Uh-huh.
would be shut down, and so there's like a bunch of rooms. There's like 2 or 3 big ballrooms in the basement, and then there's the Crystal Ballroom, which is the biggest one, right? And that's for like big events. You like hold weddings, huge weddings and shit like there's like balcony that goes all the way across around it, and I should say a mezzanine that goes all the way around it. And then there's like a smaller green room, ballroom, some pianos and shit. We go and fuck around on the pianos, and then like there's like
Oh, some
four or
green room
five
seats in there, bro.
4 or 5 little small rooms with some partition walls and shit like that. You know, work parties and shit like that could be held at. Like,
Do you know how old that building is?
Probably the
early
1800s.
1900s.
Okay. I mean, it's really beautiful. It's
Sounds like a
you know,
liminal space
Uh,
the way you
it's
describe it.
mostly marble, dude. Like the entire building's made out of marble. It's a phenomenal building. It was very expensive at its time.
I was gonna say, I wonder how much the wedding is there just to rent the place.
Well, so the Masons had a
30K.
hard time. The Masons have been in charge of the funding for it, in charge of like the keeping it up to code, renovating it, and stuff like that for like the last I don't know how many decades, right? 34, however many years. Jack White bailed him out. They like had some tax issues with the city, like way back taxes, and like they owed the city, and like they were gonna the building was gonna end up getting vacant, like a lot of other parts of up and down that Cass corridor. It's in the Cass corridor. Now the Cass corridor is much different. The Illich Group and all that, they've gone through and they put things like Little Caesars Arena and stuff like that up and down through and brightened up the corridor a little bit. But before Cass Tech was there and before, all of that was even a thought, the old Masonic Temple, dude, I'd sit up there and I'd just sit up on the rooftop and just watch drug deals go down all the way around the building.
Skunk Ape is asking the real question: is do they grow weed there? Is there weed? The green room? Are we putting seeds in the green room? I mean,
There-
smokes-
For all I know, possibly.
Where's
Who
it
knows?
from?
Jack White ended up bailing them out. They so he kind of owns, I don't know if he owns a part of it or if he's like a founder of it now. Kind of what happened with that, but that's kind of cool because Jack White's mom was an usher. And she would usher the Phantom of the Opera and the concerts and stuff that would be there. And she probably yelled at me and chased me down the hallway.
Did she have the half mask on? That's the question.
Yeah, dude.
You do the Phantom of the Opera, man. Do it right.
She was just the not
Good thing they weren't doing the Hunchback in Notre Dame.
she was an usher, but the Phantom is the Phantom.
It's for Girly back there.
Dude, yeah, so he pretty much saved that building from being otherwise demolished, turned into another parking lot, another Illich parking lot. And thankfully, dude, because all that marble, all of that history, like tons of history, like so much cool stuff. The Shriners,
I'm looking forward to a future Red where they have community
in the pool.
cannabis grows along the Cass corridor.
They should have,
Community gardens, man.
dude, like in the pool. There should be a cannabis event up in that. It's an Olympic sized pool. You could totally fit some smoke out that pool, dude.
Some floaties. The SS Gilbo rides again.
There's a
Look at
ghost.
Girly back there again.
A ghost on that floor because the dude dove in the pool while it was empty. One of the construction workers, tale has it, he was high on LSD.
Or so the story goes.
Came running out of the locker room, dove in the pool. It may or may not have been, when the pool had been decommissioned, or maybe they were just.
Were you working there then? Is this your story and you're just changing the pronouns to protect the
I don't know.
those
Oh,
arms?
I'm here. I mean, I didn't dive into that.
All hearsay.
This is like
I
16.
didn't do it.
I wasn't the pool boy. What are you talking about?
There's nobody there.
That's right. Thank you, Becca.
So, and however many other ghosts from the workers and construction,
Sacrifices. And
sacrifice. Not to mention the sacrifices.
You
Yeah,
ever see a ghost?
yeah. There's a lot of numerology and things like that throughout the building. There's ghosts all over that building. Yeah, I saw lots of ghosts. Lots of ghosts.
Legit ghosts.
Georgia Girl Guy wants to talk about butt chugging ghosts, apparently.
They do that
The
too.
old days.
That was
how would a ghost butt chug though? Just inhales the smoke for you.
I would think it'd be like the Foghorn Leghorn style, where like he gets blown up and he takes a drink of water and he goes, "Ha, you missed me," and then it like leaks all out of him. I think it would be like that, man, trying to wick that up. It wouldn't work too well.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good visual. I like it. I mean,
Yeah, close
definitely
enough.
definitely dates this podcast, but we're just some of our ages.
You trying to just push it further onto me now? You laughed, bro. You knew how old the joke
I
was.
may have 2 chickens that look exactly like that.
The old video one.
although currently that I have 2.5 roosters, and one of them is
How do
definitely
you have a
picking on
half
the
a rooster, bro?
I've told the story once before. It basically involved a raccoon attack, and the one big rooster at the time, the biggest of the 3, stood his ground. You know what I mean, and protected the coop, or at least most of them. And he got pretty beat up. I actually thought he was dead when I found him, and then he kind of like looked at me and was like, like real like, I mean, bloody and everything. And
It's like, I
so
wish
like
you'd
he
do your
doesn't have
fucking
any
job,
tail
bro.
feathers. He's got like a weird beak and all this stuff, but he's still chugging along. But that's the I won't say the name, but he's our half
3/4. Yeah.
yeah. We'll give him 3/4, I guess. But the other 2 are they've been picking on each other a lot lately, and they've been kind of like forcing one or the other outside of the run, and so they get outside and they can't figure out how to get back in, and that's pretty dangerous for them. So it's like, I don't know, a couple times a week I have to go put them back in. But the other day they were both outside, and they wouldn't go on the same side of the coop or the fence line as each other. They were like staying away from each other.
Patrolling.
So yeah, so I probably need to. I think come the spring we're gonna expand the run a little bit and give them a little more room, and probably get some more hens in there and everything. So just keep them happy, But they both got their flock, their own flock,
There you go.
That's so exciting. Today he put a hole in one of our garden fences so that they can get back in there and kind of just, they've been out all day lately and they need more
with this weather.
space, and the bed that they're in, they've like, it's just a little bit overdone.
Yeah, they're
They've
like
just been at it for a while
overgrazing it at this point. I'm like, all
and
right, you guys
just
are done.
digging like.
Don't take all my worms. Save me a
So we opened up a new garden for them so they can just spend probably like the next couple days where it's like in the 40s and 50s coming up. They're going to be out the whole time.
They're gonna love those gardens so much this summer, you guys. They really do a good job of taking care of bugs and pests and stuff like that too. So, and you guys got high enough fences. I don't think that's gonna be a concern or anything like that.
I'm good so far.
Yep. So, but as soon as we start planting, they're not going to be able to be out there for a while.
Yeah. Let those plants get a little bit bigger.
We're going to let them have their time now. And they have a whole enclosed big area too. And I'm sure we'll plant some stuff out there for them.
And that's like, we don't have enough land to really call it like pasturing chickens, but like proper like pasturing of animals or proper like, treatment of soil. Like I really want to focus on this building of soil thing. Just getting so many wormholes about soil health and our own health and the combination between the two. And, if animals are allowed to overgraze an area, it kind of diminishes the fertility. It doesn't like make it overly fertile. So, everything has to like rebound, and it takes twice as long to rebound. Whereas if you, moderately let it kind of like let the animals kind of graze, but then you move them off of that area and onto another area, it's going to accomplish a few things. One of those things is it's going to allow the area to rebound and replenish with a new fertile, microorganism, lack of pathogen type of an approach. You're going to move the animals off of their poop and off of their feces and some things like that. You're going to prevent
Get off that shit, right?
You're going to prevent, pathogen spreading and things like that, diseases. And then,
so you just give them like a couple days on a small on an area and just kind of let them get what they're going to get. And then let it rest.
It's pasture rotation. They do that with like horses and cows and larger animals too. But the difference with some of those bigger animals is you let them hang out in the same pasture long enough. Doesn't matter if there's anything growing there or not. They're gonna just tear up the ground where it's stuff can't grow. It's almost like they're constantly tilling or plowing the soil. That's why alpacas are so sweet because they're soft-footed. But I'll leave it.
I was talking about those deer. That's basically what those deer have done.
Yeah, just stomping it down, man.
Mud ground now. Yeah, they just stomped it.
Knuckles, just
all little. But fortunately, we only have 6 chickens, and there's enough space back there to like, you know. But that's why if it were like pigs or cows or sheep, and we were doing it, we would move them every single day or every single day. Like, because what that ends up doing, it ends up turning a small area into a much larger area. Based on like the resources available.
Like they don't need the whole area enclosed. They can just stay in.
Because if they're allowed to access the entire thing, they'll decimate the entire thing. You know. But if you give them just a little bit and then you move them, then that area that they decimated gets repaired, and then they can decimate a smaller patch. You just have to have enough space to. It's like 30 or 60 days. They need to be off the land. You know.
I was going to say, from my understanding, if you have 3 pastures, you could essentially rotate 2 different, or either 2 different livestock or 2 batches of livestock. As long as you're letting one pasture rest, then you can kind of constantly rotate the other.
Yeah, there's some that do better like after. It's like chickens and then pigs and then like there's an order that's supposed to be best.
And then that's when we'll like, you know, we'll take them off of these areas pretty much now, because we're gonna put like lettuces and carrots and shit like that in the ground any day now. You know, I'm building cold frames and doing stuff like that this week, so I can start getting some stuff in the ground outside. And then, you know, if it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it'll come up when it's ready. At least we keep the snow off of it and things like that. They can grow. And then as soon as the time, you know, the daylight hours hit, they're good. And then, you know, that'll give us a good 30 to 60 days before we even get tomatoes, cannabis, and peppers and cucumbers and shit like that in the ground for like the second wave of planting, you know. So, you know, getting the chickens off the ground now is good so that we can plant something. And then we'll probably put the chickens in between some stuff, and then we'll get more cannabis in the ground in the chicken poo, man. It's almost cannabis season. You guys starting your cannabis seeds? I hope so. For Girl, you're muted. Oh, touchdown. Touchdown.
Yeah, he's doing touchdowns.
Touchdown.
No.
I'm not watching the game, so I don't know who has a touchdown, but
Oh, it's such a good wager. With
Got to
my
be
wife
Kansas
over
City. You
this
see
one.
the red light.
Yeah, if you could.
That's what I was
It's the
thinking.
final.
Oh, Fido.
Hey, there's Daddy Red. Cheers, Daddy Red.
Final football game.
I think they're at a Super Bowl party or hanging with some friends watching.
Hanging with some
Super
friends
Bowl.
watching the Super Bowl.
You know
I
your
always
mom's
got that
watching
picture,
Bravo on
picture.
the phone, right, man?
Yeah, they're probably.
Shell caught up on them. That damn boat show. I can never think of that friggin' name of it every time.
Show.
Below Deck. Yeah, that one. It's so good.
Oh, dude, man, they're probably doing the same thing we're doing. Mama Red's probably prepping her gardens. She does ornamental gardens. She does a lot of flower gardening and hosta gardening and things like that.
Yeah, man.
But we're gonna take a bunch of them and use them for some of that area I was talking about around our septic and stuff like that.
Fill it in. Yeah.
Perennials. You know, if you have a septic tank, plant perennials. You know, it's the best thing for it. It
You
helps.
cut flowers.
Yeah. Non-food crops are going to go up and around that septic, help get rid of, you know, remediate some of that soil. Speaking of soil health, you know, we put shit down our drain like bleach and all kinds of shit, you know, on really not really thinking about it.
Yeah, you got to be careful with bleach and septic, man.
And that's
So-
stuff sits in the septic. So
If you do use bleach to clean and you're on a septic, one of the things you can do to help combat that is take if you go to Meijer, really anywhere, they got those 3 packs of yeast. I think it's
The brewer's
active,
yeast.
Yeah, active dry yeast. I want to say is the right one, but double check me on that. Just take one of those packets every month, put it in the toilet that's closest to your sub pump, flush it, and that'll help. It's going to help the good bacteria in your septic tank.
yeah, I haven't actually added any enzymes to our septic at all since I've
Put some recharge in there, Red.
Oh my god!
we actually got some dry active
I
yeast
wonder what that would do.
for
Oh,
baking
no.
bread. So
So
Yeah.
hey, I want to shout out Red and Becca and Rosemary's Oasis because this year we went pretty hard on the Baker Creek heirloom seeds. Thanks to the kind of lead on that with you guys. I've been using Burpee seeds for decades, literally, because that's just what's at
availability.
Meijer, it's what's
Yeah.
at Menards, it's what
already out at Target.
every store you go to has got Burpee seeds. But I've really seen like a not necessarily a decline, but I mean, germination rate seems to be fine in a lot of these, but just the growth rate and
They're not
the
robust.
final production. Yeah, it's
Not
kind of been disappointing. So I
Yeah.
wanted to jump and try a different seed company. Now, I will say I have thousands of leftover seeds, and I'm sure I'll still be using some of them, not only from Burpee directly, but from the seeds we've harvested. But yeah, we got, I think, 37 different items this year. I'm gonna try to rattle these off real quickly. I'm not gonna give you specific strains or anything, but asparagus, three different types of beans, including I think the dragon tongue bush bean or one of those purple ones you guys had that I actually got to try and like directly from the plant. So I gotta get some of those. Got some broccoli, some carrots, celery, chamomile, corn, like 5 different types of corn because those are the really
That's
ones. The
cool
ones
corn.
I was pretty upset with the corn from Burpee. That was kind of the
Corn and all kinds of stuff there. Yeah.
2 different types of cucumbers, eggplant. My wife requested that one. Agastache. It's a like a hummingbird.
Red's laugh.
Plant. some lavender. A couple different lavenders actually. A couple of jalapenos. 3 different types of lettuce, but 2 of them I thought were really cool because one of them is called Little Gem lettuce, and that's basically a miniature iceberg. I think that or ice queen, one of the 2.
Yeah, it's like a little mini
It's
like,
like a
romaine.
romaine.
It's like
Oh, is it okay? So I knew one of them was because I got Tom Thumb lettuce as well. So the 3 I have is Ice Queen, Little Gem, and Tom Thumb. One of them's like a mini romaine. One of them's a mini iceberg. And I'm like, I love wedge salads. So I'm like, rather than grow a whole ass iceberg and cut it into 4s or whatever, like I'm just gonna take one of these little mini heads and make a salad every day with it. So I'm pretty excited about that. We got red onions, Spanish onions.
Those Little Gem going right now, and they're
Nice.
they like all popped. They're good.
Good to know.
more packs of lettuce to try to see. I found some bulk seed suppliers, so I'm checking out a couple packets because I really want to get the cut and come again and just like every 60 days lettuce rotation type of a thing, or every 30 or 60 day lettuce rotation thing kind of down. I want to learn it. I don't necessarily want to have perfected or anything, but I just want to learn it. So it's
Just to have the supply,
Yeah.
like I tried that last year. We
of lettuce,
right. We actually on our deck took 10-gallon pots that I had left over, which now I wish I was using in my grow because I swapped to organic since I put all those outside. But that's besides the point. We grew a bunch of plants on our deck that we just hand watered, and a lot of them were lettuce, and some of them did really well and some of them didn't. So the rotation didn't really work out all that well when you're only successful with like a third of the strains you planted. But lettuce, bell peppers, jalapenos, there's certain things we eat every single day, and it's like if we're not growing these things, we're spending a lot of money on them when we don't need to be. But finishing off this list real quick, Sugar Daddy snap peas, rosemary. We had to get some rosemary. Big Mac's pumpkins, which is the only pumpkin we got this time because
I got those seeds.
Yeah, I got Big Macs from Burpee too. They're just, I don't know. I'm gonna actually try to I might actually really just cater to one pumpkin this year and just see if we can, can't grow like a massive one instead of just letting the vines go 20 feet and seeing what happens. Couple different types of squash, a couple different sunflowers we wanted to add to our mix that we've been growing for several years. Like I said, a couple different peppers and a sugar baby watermelon because we have leftover watermelons, but I can never get enough watermelon.
Did you go
Neither can
for
the chickens.
giant sunflowers, or did you go for more like the?
So
shorter
we've been growing
variety?
the mammoth ones for several years. So now we got the autumn beauty and the evening sun, which are some of the colorful ones that we wanted to kind of add to the mix. Because I remember Red talking about this a year or 2 ago. It's like, you start seeing these different breeds of anything from jalapenos to sunflowers. They start cross pollinating, and all of a sudden, the petals will turn different colors, so the petals will shrink, and the center with the seeds get a lot bigger. Or maybe it's going to produce multiple heads, or multiple heads of different colors. It's just they're so wild. It's
Yeah, man.
we have so many.
They're not-
Hell yeah, Spartan.
Flowers.
We have so many. I don't know how it's going to be this year because the chickens, but this last year, almost all of our sunflowers were volunteers. We did not plant very many
nice.
at all. And there were weird sunflowers with different heads, different sizes, and I don't know. But we got a couple new varieties this year. We got maybe the chocolate. It's like a dark brown red sunflower, and then we got it's like a sunking. It's like really big petals that
Yeah,
are
like a
all
little
tight
head.
together.
Little head, big petals, like yeah,
More like it's not
like
as much like that, and
lighter
they're like
pink or
stacked.
something.
So a couple different new kinds to try, but
Really, like what Rusty Nails says in chat, like using things like lettuce and carrots and stuff that doesn't really, that's our cover. I like to have that as our cover crop. Like that's kind of been my methodology. Like I've been doing like a lot of radishes is covered, like all kinds of stuff. When we make a cover crop seed, like for our septic field and stuff like that, we're going to include not only just like perennial flowers and wildflowers, but like dill and sunflowers and stuff
Something
like
that likes high nitrogen, Red.
yeah, yes, and also things that will also help like remediate. Sunflower is a good remediator, even though it's going to dig really deep. I don't want it to do any damage to like the plumbing or anything that might be down there. So we'll keep a maybe perimeter with the sunflowers, but they'll help probably keep what is in the septic away from the garden. You know what I mean, and kind of have it be like these horizons. If you've ever listened to like Leighton Morrison talk about it, and Dr. Lang Ingham will talk about these different horizons that you get in the rhizosphere, levels down, but also levels up. These horizons into the atmosphere above the soil. Like where cannabis is like, the size of a human, right? It's good to have something like maybe a foot shorter and then something a foot shorter than that. And then something, but then maybe something a little bit taller than the cannabis, maybe not necessarily to shade it, but just to kind of like bring the beneficials in these different horizons of your atmosphere. And it really balances out the, disease and pathogen and pest pressures. And
Speaking of pest pressures, have you guys thought about doing any sort of, well, okay, so put it this way, Spartan will be happy to hear this. I can never say the name right, but Arbico, or
Arbico.
Arbico, okay. Arbico Organics or whatever it's called. They sent out their spring catalog recently, like in the last week, and I got it. I was digging through it. It's a beautiful catalog. Tells you right at the top, oh, you got whitefly problem. This is everything that works. All the predator mites, all the nematodes, all the sticky traps, whatever works for worms or caterpillars or whatever it might be, fungus stats, anything. So I'm going through that, and it's pretty cool because they tell you not only like basically how much you need per square footage, but it also tells you what you need per acre, per however many acres too. Have you guys thought about doing any of that, like nematodes or anything outdoors this year by like spraying like a?
So I would probably
acre?
do nematodes if we were running into some. So if the chickens aren't gonna battle it, we'd probably rock with some nematodes. But like I don't want to use like Bavaria Bassiana.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to like kill some of the like beneficials, right?
Or like honeybees or anything like that.
Yeah. So like there's a couple things, and I also don't want to like outbalance. I want to like naturally kind of attract the good guys, you know what I mean? I want to naturally bring in whatever beneficial mites. So I'd rather just
what brings in beneficials is bad ones.
well, yeah, exactly. And also like a lot of different just varieties of plants and things like that.
Yeah.
Bringing in like dragonflies and wasps, I found to just be the best benefit to it the most, and the least amount of chemicals and the most amount of colors. Honestly,
Can I interject and ask Red, both you and Spartan, this question? Because I still have this bag of Bavaria Bassiana sitting in my, on my nutrient shelf. Haven't used it. I just got fungus gnats, but it hasn't been enough of a problem to actually utilize it. It's an expensive product. It does have a limited shelf date on it and everything. One of the concerns I hadn't really thought about until Red just made a comment was if I use it in my indoor soil, rocking, 10-gallon pots of indoor soil, say I use it on, I don't know, half a dozen plants. I got 6 plants, right? I take those 6 plants, take them through harvest those plants, got the soil, maybe sitting in a bag outside, for a couple months until the spring, summer rolls around. Break that soil down, maybe put it in a bed of, garden bed outside or something like that, or maybe, reuse it for cannabis outdoors or something like that this summer. Is that Bavaria Bassiana still going to exist in that soil? And
I don't think it does. I don't think it lives for very long anyway.
Okay.
I think it's possible in spores. It could if it's spores, so if it's infected an insect in your grow and then it's spored out, its spore can survive for a long time, I think. But man, I don't think it is a natural thing. So I'm not too worried about it, honestly. But I mean, I don't use it in the outdoors because I don't want to wipe out any pollinators. But I think there is some kind of half life, like what Red's saying. It's like
it's got to be.
It's got to have some perfect conditions for that spore to fall down there and then be preserved and then to
inoculate and
So I'm not saying some. Yeah,
because when you add water to it, they like come to life or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they have like a 24-hour shelf life from there.
Okay, here's another question. If you get your bagged soil wet, let's say it's an organic soil and like half the bag gets wet because I don't know, it fucking rained and got leaked in or something like that. Is that soil, if you let it sit for a couple weeks because you weren't ready to use it, is that basically now useless because you've activated all that bacteria, or
Is it still in the bag sealed? Well, it wouldn't be
still,
sealed.
well, yeah, it's still in the bag. Say it just had a hole in it or something like that, right?
I would worry about the heat, maybe if there was like a heat issue. If you're talking about organics, if the soil gets too hot,
but not a moisture issue.
I mean, it's soil. It's used to being wet, right?
I mean, I don't get it wet. It doesn't come wet, I should say.
If it's not like anaerobic, you know what I mean. I guess it depends how much oxygen is retained in there. Because if it got anaerobic, then then it means you probably got some things that you might want to then remediate. You might want to aerate it for a few days, turn it and compost it and do some.
So is that where the mushrooms will grow in like a bag of soil? Because I know I've told this story probably like 6 years ago on YouTube. Like one of the first bags of soil I ever bought for growing was Fox Farms from like a local nursery, and I opened the bag. It had friggin' mushrooms growing in it, and I panicked. I'm like, fuck it, gotta take this back. It turns out that
I got like Roots Organics for me, and I opened it up, and it was like white all across the top, and I took that back to the grow store. And I was like,
bro.
This shit's moldy. I can't put mold in my grow. Blah blah blah. I was freaking out, dude. Because I'm taking all this like sterile talk, as gospel, and these dudes basically laughed at me,
right?
Like, okay,
I had like a 6-year-old man laugh in my face and tell me I got the good stuff.
They were like, this is the good shit, but whatever. We'll replace it for you. I'm like, I can't have it in my grow, dude. I'm sorry,
Yeah, same thoughts, man. I had the same thoughts.
And nowadays when I see it, and I'll open my bin and I'll go take a big old whiff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff, and mix it in. We get mushrooms in our
dude. When you get those mycelium ones growing like that, that soil gets fucking hot as shit too, man.
Yeah.
Like temperature wise, you start feeling the side of the toes. You're like, whoa. We are 2 minutes from hash time, and
all tied up in the Super Bowl. I noticed that Ferroli wasn't as enthusiastic as the last touchdown.
We're down.
No, I wasn't, but I am very enthusiastic about these diamonds here.
Those look nice, man. What is that?
It's a garlic punch run minus the terps. Pour the terps off. I might use some of them to make some sauce out of this. I've got some patients that requested just chunky diamonds. But I think I'm going to use the rest of the garlic punch terps for some cookies or some sort of edible that I can actually use the terps in, because I have I think on the other side of the desk here I have my activated decarboxylated food grade oil ready to go, and now I have a batch of terps, and maybe we'll have another
ready
batch
to go, man.
Yeah, man, it's cooking time.
Yum.
I would say one of the things that I hate about getting soil is when it is heavy. And I get cocoa. I'm sorry. When I get a bag of cocoa and it's wet, and it kind of like it when it's a nice brick of cocoa, but that stuff will sit outside in the wintertime is the worst. Because they'll be fucking frozen solid blocks and you need to get into them, and you just have this like
the screwdriver red. It's screwdriver.
frozen block of cocoa, dude. What the fuck? We had to let all of our cocoa thaw out last time we did the shit because then it doesn't only just need to thaw, but you don't want to like shock your roots putting into like 40-degree fucking cocoa.
Dude, I did the same thing last week. All right, before it warmed up, I needed some soil. I left my my yard bag of Michigan medium soil outside, and of course it froze in that negative, or not negative, but sub 20-degree weather. And I didn't have much left. There's only like maybe 4 or 5 inches at the bottom, but like 30 gallons worth of soil. The thing was a giant slab, like a marble slab. I had to pick the whole thing up sideways, put it through my grow room door, like get it next to a heater, warm the whole thing up for like 3 days before I could use it. Like you said, I didn't want to shock my plants. And I needed soil. I needed a transplant. What am I supposed to do? I'm not gonna go buy more.
That's one of the benefits that I like about cocoa is that it can just be, it's inert, so it can dry out and it can be shipped dry and light, and unless it gets stuck in the rain and gets soaking ass wet, because then it can get filled with gnats and fucking bullshit like that. Like generally,
when you were talking about it being heavy, I was thinking it was full of gnats as well.
Full of gnats. That's why I hate, like, when it's fucking heavy, dude. I'm like, fuck, it's soaking wet, it's heavy.
Yeah.
It might not be anaerobic, it might smell good still, but fuck, dude. Generally cocoa should be light and dry. Big brick of Pro Mix is like fucking 30 pounds.
They're talking about cooking soil in an oven in chat. I smoked a pizza on the Traeger tonight. It was freaking delicious. I've never had a smoked pizza, but hell yeah, give it a try.
Oh yeah,
we got pizza
that's a good
stuff.
idea.
We're gonna make a pizza.
Yeah, we were walking through Target, like went in for one fucking thing. We got like handfuls.
That's how they get you, bro.
So she's got handfuls of shit. I got my hand. I got like a fucking. We picked up this fucking on clearance John Lennon record, like 50% off. So it's like brand new Blu-ray, jamming it tonight, dude. It's fucking awesome.
I'll tell you what, Polarity Science guys, Thursday night, I really enjoyed listening to you
The
and
record talk.
Yeah, you and Skilbo talk about those records, man. I mean, I couldn't keep up with it because I'm not like the music heads like you guys are, but it was very entertaining and honestly educational.
I went back today because I was watching a documentary this morning. It's a short one. It's like 8 minutes long, and it's all about this dude that had the largest private record collection at the time. But this was made in 2008. And I can't remember the dude's name, but the name of the place was Record Rama, and I believe it was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Dude had over 1 million records.
Damn.
He had shit that like nobody else has, and he was just going on and on about like how the sound quality and the reproduction that you get through a record rather than CD. When they digitize things, the first thing they do is they take the top and the bottom off of it and they compress it.
Yes.
So, see, Red, go back to your video. You'll see it.
All of that shit that I've said about that is what I came up with without hearing somebody else tell me that information. That was objective listening and piecing it together on why it sounds so good, because I had to sit here and figure it out for myself. Because I was listening to it and I was going,
that's compression.
These records sound way better than playing Spotify or anything on the computer. What the fuck is in through the same speakers?
Red,
right?
Green Goddess says in the chat, some of those records are thousands and thousands of dollars. The record he held up, he said that it was the most valuable record he owned. It was a Rolling Stones record.
Wow.
And it was never released.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That'll do it, right?
Where's that?
Well, the funny thing is the story was like really sad because he was like, I have diabetes, I'm legally blind. And I can't do this anymore. I'm 65 years old. And, it's sad that nobody gives a damn about records anymore. And it's like, it's so prescient because he says, in another 8 or 10 years, people are going to realize what they're missing out on and all this stuff is going to be gone. So as an update to it, I guess that some person in Brazil ended up buying his entire collection, and they had, I think it was like 14 or 16 big full trucks pulled up and loaded all that shit in. So the collection lives on.
That's crazy.
But there's so many. He was saying that I think it was 80. It's either 83 or 87% of the music that he had has never been digitized. So literally, there's no way to listen to it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you don't have the record. Becca, I see you're holding that up.
Isn't that
Pretty
so
pretty.
cool?
American Beauty.
Yeah.
Target's cool. Target does exclusive releases. And I don't know if you guys remember this. But
Yeah, I get a lot of mine from Target.
did you also used to get like cassettes and CDs from Target before like Best Buy and shit like that? Because like before Best Buy was around, there was like
Or you're getting them at Kmart. You're getting them wherever
FYE.
you can get them.
You guys remember
at.
FYE? There's one.
FYE.
There's
There's
another
still
one.
one in my
too.
mall, my
Yeah.
dead mall.
Is it really?
or like
Yeah.
Sam Goody
Oh, no
or
shit.
something. Like you go to the mall to get them. But Target was like
Is that carousel still?
someone would drop something.
It is, but it hasn't ran in years and years.
Really?
Yeah, it's still
Dude,
there. Though.
last time I was there, it was running. That's crazy.
Target was one of the ones you could get the unedited shit
That's-
too.
that's
You
fine.
know?
Yeah. Target for some reason has always had just like exclusive rights to all these labels and like gets really good drops and deals, and they got all these weird colored like exclusive drops and stuff. So that's where we found clearance items, half
Mhm.
off. I mean, that's a double.
Yeah, there's always only like 2 or 3 of maybe 4 of them at Target. I shot for some records for my brother there once before.
Give me some truth, dude. This is just
Is that a picture of Red? A side shot of Red? Is that what that was?
Lennon in the fucking 80s, dude.
That's funny. I was like, oh, you
Late
His
70s.
ponytail's much thicker.
There you go. Right.
Thicker. But,
I was thinking about you guys all week because after listening to that, because my parents are, they're pushing their 70s and stuff, and they're trying to downsize and getting rid of some like the old, like just, the stuff they don't need, offering it to us and, like telling me like put it on eBay or whatever. But we haven't gotten there yet. And I don't know if we ever will. But my dad has got this shelf, maybe like 5 or 6 feet long of just all
before
records.
they get rid of their records, have them
Oh, I told him, dude. I told him, I'm like, you're not like you're not getting rid of those. I'm sure I have to imagine my brother's gonna want them because he's a little bit more into that.
Yeah.
In a
If
record
somebody,
and stuff like that, but-
if somebody wants them,
Well, I'm not letting them go, dude. I'm
Dude.
not gonna just sell them either. Trust me. I'll be contacting some of my friends before they, they go anywhere. But yeah, I just personally want to dig through it and just see what he's got because I've never gone through it.
Dude,
And
crate digging, man.
oh yeah,
Shit that you've
Alright.
never heard of.
it's
I
a
already
lot of
claimed my
stuff.
mom's whole record collection. She's got a huge one. And it's like I got my record player right
What
there.
kind is it? What's the genre of music that she got? She got country,
All over
she
the
got
place.
rock.
All over
Okay.
the place, man. But she's got old rock and roll, and she's got a lot of the popular stuff that throughout the ages. She's everywhere. She's got a little bit of opera stuff, a little bit of musical stuff, a little bit of classical. all
Opera
kinds
would
of-
be sweet to listen on a
Yeah.
record player.
Some of that stuff's crazy.
we have the Phantom of the Opera. on
No
vinyl.
shit.
Nice.
I thought she escorted you out. She gave you a record at the same time. That was pretty nice of her, at least. It's a parting gift, right? Oh, chat. You guys got any questions we can kick around, or we're gonna keep talking about bullshit that you guys probably are gonna be like, "Wow, I wish they would talk about growing." Like,
Well, I want
what's
to shout
the
out.
question?
I want to shout out Anything Rose in chat, man, because she did a pretty cool thing. So, I'd given her some of my like the smalls and the trim of my Orange Dream Haze. So it was single source, and she took all that and made that into a butter, an infused butter, and then she made orange cardamom cookies, which had like orange peel, and it was kind of like a molasses cookie with cardamom. They're fucking delicious. They turned out so fucking good. It was, and that's why I'm kind of high right now. I ate one before.
Can you explain that flavor to me? Because I was looking up flavors that go along with orange, and that was one of them. And it was like, good luck trying to explain this one.
Yeah, I don't know. It just tastes well to me. It tasted like a slightly spiced molasses cookie. If I had to,
With the orange zest in it, right?
yeah, with the orange kick, like it was like it was really cool because like how the bottom of the cookie can get like almost glassy, when you pull it off of the. Okay, so
there we
then
go.
when you bite into that, there'd be like a crunch, and that right there held so much orange. There you go, a nutty spice.
Yeah. If you Google it, an herbal warmth like a fragrant cross between eucalyptus, mint, and pepper, more citrusy than fennel and sweeter than cumin. Like that's like
Oh, that
30
is-
flavors.
wait,
right
yeah,
there.
wait a minute. We were talking about fennel and
Citrus and fragrance and mint and pepper. What the heck?
Yeah, I didn't get any menthol or mint or any of that out of it.
It's a complex one though, for sure. A little radioactive like.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll eat another one, and I'll tell you what. I'll tell
Oh,
you
I
what.
like this
There you
live
go.
flavor
Live
testing. This
testing,
is
man.
like doing math live, guys.
What's it
This
taste
is
like?
fucking- But anyways, that like little glassy bottom or whatever, when you bite into that, it's got like it seems like where this orange is coming from. It just pops, and God, I love it.
Nice. I wonder if the orange flavor like not melts down, but you know what I mean, like sinks down to the bottom or something.
Yeah.
If it even makes that kind of like crispy crust, whatever.
Well, there's orange zest in it, so the peel, the orange, I
Yeah.
imagine that's heavy, so it falls down in the batter, maybe just from gravity.
It depends on the batter, I guess. In my experience with my cookies I make, like with the orange zest and for clementine and lime zest for lime skunk, it mixes pretty well. But my cookies are pretty thick. Like I cream the butter and everything. It's kind of like a dollop, right?
They're
It's not
really
like
good.
Yeah, it's not flat.
So
But tell me, they're coming. I promise. It's a lot of work, guys, but it's worth it.
The
So tell me
lime
this
skunk,
flavor,
man.
Spartan. You don't have to finish the whole thing before you tell me the flavor. Holy shit!
Oh, he's enjoying it. He trusts me. That's how he gets down. He's like, no, fuck this.
I was enjoying the conversation, man. I wasn't gonna stop you. Yeah, man. I don't know. To me, it's like a molasses cookie, and then he's got the orange zest. Then you got like it leaves you with the molasses cookie, but it's not as super sweet as a molasses cookie. It's like got this, like she was saying, like a nutty spice or a nutty cumin flavor, kind of like
Like a chili.
Oh,
but not spicy. Not a spicy heat spicy. More like a spicy cumin spicy.
like taco
Like dirt.
without
Not so much
spicy
taco
dirt.
or chili, kind of like a
like taco without the chili powder.
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that's cumin
yeah,
salt.
yeah.
It's cardamom.
Yeah,
Cardamom.
cardamom.
Yeah,
Like
just
cardigan, except mom.
like an earthy, nutty, like not crazy flavor. It's an Indian food, so it's one of their like more base flavors. It's not as spicy.
Apparently goes well with like orange and citrusy, which it says it has some citrus flavor in there. So I guess it maybe kind of enhances each other or whatever. But
Good as fuck.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try it. I'm trying to like really expand the terpene flavor.
I think it's a really strong flavor that helps with covering up the medication flavor that you get sometimes. 'Cause I can't.
That makes
I'm
sense.
really picky. Yeah, I'm really picky about. I don't like to taste it and the edibles. And
Let's go Chiefs.
Did they score?
Yeah. Well, they just kicked a
Look
field
at
goal.
Tara's up there.
8 seconds
Yay.
left. Know what another good one is, guys? If you are trying to look or trying to cover up the flavor of the cannabis in your edibles, maybe just because you don't like the flavor or what have you, cinnamon works great. And it makes cardamom, cinnamon. I don't know, they're not spelled all that close, but it makes me think of one another. And apparently they have the same effect in this term. So snickerdoodle cookies, something like that works really, really well.
She made those. She made those the time before. She
Yeah,
just
there you
make her
go.
do it
She
time
knows what
before.
she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know who deserves a shout out for edibles too is Blue Kiss Gardens. He always comes through with a large bag of fucking goodness, man.
Shout out Blue Kiss. She's always in the chat too. All the
Hell yeah.
different shows that I'm in.
All the chats, man.
Even
All
the
the
shows that I'm
chats.
watching, she's in those chats too.
Yo,
So that's cool. Definitely a big part of the community.
man, I'm pretty high for 10:13 p.m. Man.
I know. I just
think
did
it's
another
time to smoke
dab.
another one.
Realized it was dead or hashtag was 13 minutes ago.
Yeah, I doubled down on the lime skunk dab. So.
Oh, nice. How you got any left, man? I think I'll be blasting some of that this week. Hopefully, I know I got 2 plants of it that we got to.
This is where it's really nice to have really old, beat up ass lungs because everything lasts a lot longer that way because you can't
Fair
go
enough.
in for like those Dank Man Dan size dabs. Speaking of Dank Man Dan, shout out to him. If you guys didn't get a chance yesterday, go back and watch Wake and Bake with the Groskies. We had a full show. Shout out to everybody over there and good time, man.
It was a good morning.
There were so many of you guys on. We were
That was
like,
a full ass panel. There's like, I mean,
Yeah,
9
man.
squares, like the whole Brady Bunch, but there's several
We had,
people. with
we had
multiple
8 out of
people.
the 9, but we had 9 people.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Wait, what do you mean? No, I swear there's more than 9.
I was I was driving up from Illinois for visiting
Illinois.
Anchorage Rose, and so that was great to listen to you guys on the way up. It kind of kept me engaged, and the first part of my trip kind of flew by. I was like, "Oh, this is sweet."
Was it because you were doing 90, or because the conversation?
Hell no, dude! I will not do 90
Cruise
out of
control
state.
in Illinois.
Indiana.
I'm already out of Michigan. That's already risky enough.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Worst part about driving
And this weekend the cops were thick, especially in Indiana.
about 45 minutes worth of Indiana.
All over.
No offense to Indiana, but just getting through to with us smelling like weed, you know. Just,
Ooh,
Yeah, I just don't want. I make sure I have enough gas to get through both states. And I
ain't
don't want
stopping.
I don't even want to. I don't want to stop and
Only
Value
run it because
law.
honestly, I should, but I don't even know the laws and
that's for sure.
things to say in each state. So I'm just uncomfortable, and I just want to, especially Indiana. Honestly, I'm pretty comfortable in Illinois, but in Indiana, I just want to get the fuck through that state.
You don't have any connections in Indiana?
Yeah, when I go to
It's not about connections. I don't need a connection. I just need to get the
I just wanna
fuck
get
through
the hell
the
through.
state.
No, not
I wanna
like
get
any
through the
connection. Like
to
a
just-
politician.
I got some family in Indiana, and they're my least favorite family. So
Oh.
Can we show some Hoosier love on this? For damn, we can't just drag him the whole
Jeez.
time we talk about him.
Hey, I like Indiana. I like everyone in Indiana.
Hey, I don't
like
hate on Indiana as
What
far
Indiana
as people.
stands for,
Just the law.
and I like
okay.
that they stand in between two shitty ass states. No, I'm just kidding, guys.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about their laws. They need to fix their laws a little bit.
Yeah, that might be a little behind. We'll catch up eventually.
Hey.
That is the Midwest.
they got gays, and I can go down there and get my diesel, my
Oh,
well,
Gays is awesome,
Gays
man.
hops and shops.
I love gays, man.
yeah, man.
When I walked in
in
the first time, I was like, "You guys don't sell shirts. You guys are missing out on opportunities. Why are you not selling shirts in here?"
dude.
I would get one for everyone I know and just
Dude,
pass.
One in
by.
Angola, the one in Angola is just like, there's like you go to walk up where the 151 is, and there's like just the depths of the shelf just keep going back, and you just keep pulling out cases of fucking 151.
And they give you boxes. Like they'll give you the boxes that shit came in.
Yeah,
If you're
wanna
getting
sell.
a bunch, they're like, "Yeah, we got that. Here
I
you
don't
go."
want to bail.
Would you like a bulk discount? Here's a bulk discount. Oh,
Yeah, it's
Discount.
fucking amazing in
hey,
there.
and a box. Thank you.
Look at
Is
this.
it
Definitely worth the drive.
Hey, I would like
crazy.
to
That's
make
not our
sure
opinion at all.
that, for the record, I defended Indiana and stood up for Indiana, and I support Indiana. Just for the record.
Same here for the record.
All right. Well, I love Michigan.
Don't
I'm
worry,
gonna
they
be on
still
the
want the
record for that.
rainbow
I'll
and
be on
the
on the record that I love Michigan.
Ohio still sucks, but Indiana's all right.
Ohio still sucks.
Had to get it in there, didn't we?
Yeah, man, gotta
I'm
kick you when you're
just
down, man.
kidding. I'm just
That's all right.
kidding.
We
I
hate
mean,
it.
you guys had that crazy fire that's like evacuating people and all that shit. Like,
Well, that's what I was wondering if Spartan was talking about
can we
that or
remediate
the,
that?
or not Spartan. Who was it? Was it Scobo that brought up the UFO earlier, the Lake Huron one?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know if you were talking about
We
that
just
or
had one
the,
in Grass Lake.
Crest Lake.
Yeah,
or the UFO or a
yeah,
shrimp
UFO
explosion.
today in Grass Lake.
I didn't hear that one. I'll have to look that one up.
I'll send you.
Was it a
guys the
drone with a balloon attached to it?
That's right by our farm.
She told you not to, bro.
He
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
just came down here and goes, "I heard you talking
Just
shit."
Well, you could
The
you could just drive to Grass Lake and think you can get away with it for Crowley.
Was it a white drone and did it say "It's a me" on there?
I start flying a banner with a
They're
QR
finally
code
getting
on it.
coax out there, dude. They're finally able to
Jump it
record
headfirst to the
and
1970s.
broadcast the info. man.
It's a pirate ship, guys. We're broadcasting.
Yar.
We're gonna go.
High seas, man.
Live from Starlink on my drone.
Crop circles are gonna be our next issue. Not just gonna be septic. Now we're gonna be down to like 1/8 of an acre due to
Why
crop
do we
circle.
have to-
Did you guys see that picture I posted on my Instagram stories a couple days ago? I think it was on Monday of the center pivot irrigation over I think it was Colorado, and it's just all these. It looks like crop circles from 30,000 feet up, but it's just those. It's a center plumbed irrigation line. It's the arm just spins around and irrigates the whole farm, but it's a circle. and they just put circle after circle after circle after circle
It's
after
in the
circle.
field. or
Yeah, it's just a
Board.
yeah, and it's like miles and miles and miles long by miles and miles and miles wide. Of course, I post that picture, and I didn't have one. I didn't have you. I had multiple people be like, crop circles. Oh, they're crop circles. I literally put center pivot irrigation. You just had to Google it. Like,
Yeah, crop circles are way different than that. Crop circles can be pretty
extravagant, and it's matted down. It's not just like watered in a certain way. It's like actual matted down crops, I think is the definition of crop
like
circles.
Yeah,
Skilbo's,
they put the wooden boards on their feet and then walk around.
Wooden
And,
boards.
What do you mean? The aliens don't have wooden boards and feet. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Those are
They
it's a
must,
map.
they must wear sabots then or something. Then we
Ask
get-
Red. He knows. He directs the aliens with their maps.
I mean, that's what the
Masons.
History Channel. That's what the History Channel and like all those.
The History Channel is a paragon of factual information these days. We all know that.
The
right?
History Channel wants you to believe that it's people with wooden boards. This is how it's done in England, and then they use the boards with the ropes.
Ancient
That was
aliens
like-
theorized.
that's-
Say
that-
yes.
That was like 2020 with Barbara Walters from like 20 years ago. I feel like
R.I.P.
This
uh,
is the current events program on the MBGS channel.
Current
Still waiting
in the
for
last
some
20.
chat. Save us with some questions, please. Reel
So
us
the
in.
weather's changing, but it's going to change back. Welcome to Michigan. That's always a challenging thing for
you know those
growers,
boards
right?
are what you use to
damn
terminate
it.
your cover crop with. Sorry, Scott.
I tried.
The garbage bags.
We're
Just use
harvesting
garbage.
our storm shadow this week, so we've got maybe one more day of flush, I think, maybe ish. Even that it's ready. So
Is anybody else? First of all, what strain did you say, Tara?
Storm shadow.
storm shadow.
Okay. Does anybody else, whether you're experiencing commercial or just as a caregiver, does anybody else trim off a majority of the fan leaves within 3 to 5 days of harvest?
Sure.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
not
'Cause it's-
before.
Well, because I've heard a lot of people doing like a well, okay, so I grow a lot of like 63-day strains. I know a lot of like commercial goes a lot quicker than that, but I heard like day 42, you might be like kind of doing like a leaf strip or whatever. But I'm talking like to basically strip the, what I would assume are the nitrogen reserves from the plant. And I guess the challenge right now is like, I've been swapping over the course of I don't know, almost 2 years now, from cocoa to organics, and kind of testing a bunch of different things. And that's one of the things I found I like a lot lately. It's kind of like when I kind of see them start to fade, I just kind of start pulling them off and give it that, usually 3 to 5 days. I'm trying to keep it a little bit tighter if I'm just going RO water, but I also have like an organic finishing product that doesn't have any nitrogen in it, but it does have some of the the P and K in there to give it something. But I don't know. I feel like I've been kind of growing the soil for the last 63 days plus. Shouldn't it? I can't imagine adding more in the last week or so is really going to make that big of a difference. But I don't know. And I've always kind of pure water finishing my plants too. I don't know if that's making much of a difference again in organics. But yeah, I don't know. Just removing that capacity for them to have those nutrients accessible seems like the reasonable way to go. It's a quick way, I guess. If you're in cocoa, you could also just flush the cocoa a lot easier than you can flush soil, I think.
Yeah, I think for me the reason to remove those leaves is to canopy management, airflow, and respiration. Thinking about, am I going in a humid environment or am I going in a dry environment? So if I were going to dry and it's a little bit drier than I like, I might leave more leaves on. But if
You mean post harvest, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if I know that I don't have a perfectly controlled dry space, and I know for example, what's common in Michigan at this time in the cold, super low humidity in your dry space. If you know that going in, why would you remove those leaves? Let those leaves, they hold water.
Mm-hmm.
Keep those leaves on there and do your whole plant hang, and hopefully that's going to retain moisture for a little bit longer and help you dry.
Is that going to change your flush? And is it maybe by a day or two, or is it nothing? Or
Me, I'm organic. I'm flushing the whole time. What are you talking about? Change my
Water only, baby.
Yeah, I'll keep giving it water. Yeah.
Other than
Sure,
lines
Mike.
of recharge, right?
Water.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. I only usually give recharge maybe once or twice in its life, and it's usually in veg, maybe very early flower.
Is there can you overdo recharge? You know what I mean?
You can overdo anything, man. By overdo means you get to a point to where to where you're just spending money and not getting that much of a benefit anymore. You see what I'm saying? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're adding more, but your plant's not going to benefit from that. The
Yeah, what
colony's
is that?
already.
I think you can too, because isn't there a lot of kelp in that? So you could get into an issue where you have like
And
if you're in the
fulvic
middle of flower.
acid, and it's going to just make a whole bunch of things, chelated nutrients and plant available, and you're probably going to end up burning the shit out of your plant eventually.
Branching out.
So
yeah.
I haven't got anything more than a tip burn, and that tip burn is typically after the stretch phase, maybe like week 3 or 4, like when it's really like kind of like
Top of the plant, whole
transitioning.
plant?
I would say most of the plant, gets a
Okay.
little, just that little, little tip on the end there, the
Little
family
curl.
just a little, no, not even a curl, just like a little tiny yellow, like a millimeter or 2 millimeters of like yellowing at the end, and it's like that tells me, or at least in cocoa back in the day, that would tell me I'm just pushing it enough. Like I wanted to push it right to that point and not past it. I didn't really want to go much lower. I had some tolerance lower than it, but I didn't really have a whole lot of tolerance past that, or at least my environment at the time.
Yeah, that tells you if your goal is to get the plant to accept as much nutrients as it's willing to accept, then yes, I agree with
Okay.
that. Gets you to the point to where would be just about enough, because once you start going past there, now you're going to start doing some damage to the plant, at least slowing it down. It's going to start giving you actual tip burn. I don't really consider that little yellowing and really a burn yet until it turns to that like necrotic brown shit, and that's the burn. The yellow is kind of the warning, like what we're getting close.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Protein
share.
deficiencies. Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen. It's my most recent post on Instagram. Go ahead and shut up my own Instagram again. Let's see. I want to do a Chrome tab. This is, you'll be happy to hear, Lime Skunk, and it's not what's coming up next. It's actually the most recent edition. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like zoom in here or not, but no, it's
And
not
not
gonna let
too
me,
many
like,
burn
zoom in
tips or
on the-
anything there.
It's, I mean, you can't really see it, but like maybe even after the picture, but there's definitely just like like that one.
Oh, I
right
can
there.
kind of see all the way to the right. I can kind of tiny see the beginning down a
Yeah,
little bit.
and it's not really curl. I mean, these look like pretty healthy plants for whatever week like 4. I don't know. I'm running spark growing style lately. I'm just not writing shit down, but
Sweet. Good too, man.
yeah. I mean, I've ran this show for
Converted another
7
one.
years now. I just I know at this point when this one's ready, but literally just by the looks of it. But and actually even the ones that's coming down this week, I just it's the same thing. I had to write them down. I just know it's time. But these are all organic, like whatever, just recharge being added or whatever, and like maybe a little tiny tip burn and not really much curl or anything, but like that's where I like to see them. But at a certain point, I know I need to like cut the recharge out and stuff. So is that like week 7? Do I want to cut it out and maybe swap to that kind of finishing type additive, or
on a
just nothing?
63
Just rely
on
my
a 63 day or one?
No,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So in recharge, so the biggest design in recharge for it, like it's like a conglomeration of inputs. It's not just like one product. And the common denominator in all those products and why they were picked, it was either to directly add nitrogen or some way liberate nitrogen. So the big focus there is nitrogen. So I would say that like past your bolt, or what most people call the stretch and flower. See, this is another thing I'm try to help switch is like, and I learned it from Dr. Coco on growing with my fellow growers, and it's bolting just like all the other plants in flower. Stretching in cannabis is the bad thing. Like you don't have enough light and the plant's stretching. So, we all seen that with like seedlings, especially if you don't have enough light on them and they get those really tall stems. That's stretching, and it's a negative thing. But bolting, that's just a natural thing that happens in flower. So I really like that. But anyhow, now what the fuck was I talking about?
I don't know. I was listening to that so well, man.
Too much
Shout out to
nutrients,
Dr.
recharge
MJ Coco.
nitrogen.
Oh, it's all nitrogen focused. So yeah, you don't man, I don't even like to go week 2, week 3 in flower, because yeah, you can still, the plant's still gonna require nitrogen when it's still kind of stretching and building plant material, and bolting up. But once it's done growing up and like that, and it starts stacking buds, the nitrogen can actually reduce the size of those buds if it gets in excess. So I would cut it out in like week. I mean, I don't even usually use recharge in flower, but I would be comfortable using it in week 1 or 2. But I don't think I would want to go much past that.
I wonder if it's because my
Yeah.
pot size essentially has been too small that I'm just making up for the lack of nutrients. You know what I mean? And that's why it's able to like take advantage of what I've been giving it. And I have there is a top dress I have that's similar kind of thing, but it's just a top dress. And there's a veg and a bloom to it, and I definitely amend my soil when I transplant before flower because I am using Michigan Medium's bloom soil, so there's not a whole lot of like N in there in the first place.
Okay.
Secondary to that, I knew I couldn't get through weeks 8, 9, or whatever without adding any flower kind of boost in there as well. But I just like recharge it. It seemed better than just reverse osmosis water. It kept things going in a positive direction. Like I said, I've been doing pretty well on my GPW in the last couple runs with certain strains. So I'm happy with the production and everything. But I also don't want to be wasting money, dude. I bought one of those like the 5-gallon pails or whatever. That's like $400 or $500. You know what I mean? And it's taking me, I don't know, 8, 9 months or something to get through it, probably. But
well, if you like the results, if you like the results, what I would recommend, like, it depends if you like to use it a lot or if you'd like to reduce it, but you could either use it half as much, which means instead of using it every day, you're using it every other day or whatever your schedule is, and then or you can, if you'd rather keep the same schedule, like using it every time you feed or whatever your schedule is, you can just cut that amount in half. So if you're giving it a half a teaspoon, give it a quarter teaspoon.
Okay, so another thing I'm thinking about is maybe it works well with my soil because it is the bloom soil and it's adding that lack of nitrogen in the first place. So
it's not really going to add a lot of nitrogen with the inputs, but it's going to try to unlock what's there. That's kind of what it will do. Which
is probably not a whole lot in the first place, other than what I'm adding, like amending the soil with.
It's kind of a misconception that the plant doesn't need nitrogen in flower. It does need nitrogen in flower, but it doesn't need it in the most amount like it does in veg. So it's just like the nitrogen levels stay pretty level, in flower, but the other, like the P and the K, are way more important in flower, and that's what it's going to use more of. So it's still important to have some nitrogen. So I'm sure that even in their bloom formula, there's some nitrogen sources in there.
Yeah, I don't remember the actual values of the NPK or anything, but
I know those plants look like they have some really nice uniform tops on them, bro, and they're stacked up nicely and filling in.
Yeah, I mean, that's
sure. Dude, that was 2 plants. It's literally 2 plants. They're as tall as me. They're huge. But I'm excited about those. I'm just trying to dial in the organics and stuff without wasting any money. And I feel like I've cut my costs a lot, not only switching over to LED, but switching over to organics. I'm still nailing down the pot size. I got 8 fabric pots, and I've still got 2 more to transplant into that are 20 gallons. I'm up, that's what these lime skunker and 20-gallon fabric pots just on the floor. So
really looking for cost savings, man. I would
reuse my soil.
Yes, I would like, even if it's just one light every day, in the cycle sometime, but just sacrifice one light to do that, to try to learn how to make that work, because that's pretty life-changing when you can just not empty your fucking pots and reuse that shit.
Dude, I'm saving it up. I've got one yard bag full of 10-gallon root balls, and I've got another one that's now halfway full because I just emptied that giant slab that we talked about earlier that was frozen. I couldn't
when I did that 4x8 grassroots fabric raised bed, I saved up all of my root balls for like 8 months, dude. And then when it came time, I just broke them down and I went and I bought the large lava rock. Some people use it for like ornamentals and shit. I was just trying to use it to be able to populate it for microbes, because it's going to go in there and stay in there. I had some hydroton I threw in there, some cocoa that I'd been sitting around on. I took some mushroom compost and threw that in there for the fungal. Like, and I used that soil from 2018 until 2021. And all I did was use like worm castings, and then, we went back and forth. It used to be BioLive in the beginning. Remember, Spartan? That's easy. Just shake some BioLive over top of it.
Oh, yeah, man. Or Craft Blend.
Craft Blend is the other one. And you'd be amazed that like I'd never really seen issues where I needed to flush. It was never an issue. The only thing that I will say is that I think it's easier to grow in like a 4x4 raised bed than it is like 4 10-gallon pots, because you'll find that things will, communicate across all of that 4x4, whereas, there's only a finite little teeny bit that your plant is struggling with by creating a root ball and everything else. So it can be a little more touch and go on.
So that's Skill. You guys, I don't know, I feel like years at this point, but probably like a year now, have tried to convince me to do these beds indoors. But that's the thing. Like I am testing this theory, right? I am testing the reusing of soil, which I never once did with cocoa. I'm testing the reusing of it. I've been saving
You'll
it
look
up.
back in like a couple of years at this comment and you'll laugh at yourself.
I know I will. I know, but let's establish it for history's sake and my growth, because I now have basically yard and a half of used soil, all in root ball form, that has yet to be broken down or exposed to much of anything, and then I probably have just as much that have already been broken down and planted into 4x4 or thereabout beds. It's been broken down directly back into my gardens, my raspberry bush bed, and I've taken every single what's the damn brand? The flood drain tables that we all used to use with the 40-gallon reservoirs.
Yeah.
Botanicare. The Botanicare, every 40-gallon, super expensive, super nice, super thick, awesome plastic 40-gallon reservoir that I had, I drilled holes in every single one of them.
Oh, dude, those are
filled up the bottom with logs
so
and
expensive,
sticks.
man.
Took all of my root balls and I now have several of these fresh garden beds that came straight from my my indoor cannabis garden. I don't even know what I'm going to be planting them yet, but they're they've been sitting out there since basically fall. And they're going to be ready to go this spring.
You know what
so
I
I'm
would do
excited
is I
about
would
that,
sprinkle some cover crop on that shit right now and get it rolling.
That's probably
get everything working in there. Because remember, like some of those things in your cover crop are going to be able to pull nitrogen out of the air. You know what I mean? And then it's going to get. My experiment that I did was I used fucking 7-gallon plastic pots that I grew in for years inside. That's all I had. And so when I did my outdoor run last year, I just made sure to really, really hit them hard with some of the things. I added a lot of gypsum, and I really feel like, we always talk about using gypsum to try to unlock sulfur, and sulfur unlocks flavors. Man, between that and the gear that I was running, I'm super satisfied with the flavors. I did not chop my cover crop down, but every time that I removed any leaf off the plant, and I did cut the cover crop back if it was interfering with anything, I just made sure to put it right on top. And then I kept coming through and sprinkling up like the malted barley a couple times, because I want that mycelium to grow. And I see Rusty Nails in the chat was talking about he didn't want to do chop and drop because he doesn't want to worry about mold. It's not, I didn't really have a problem with that. I think it goes back to what we were talking about yesterday on the Wake and Bake, which is it's all comes back to your environments. You know what I mean? Spartan was talking about removing things and making sure that you have the airflow and everything else running through there. There's ways to make it work. And once you get it working, dude, it's like you're going to kick yourself and say, I threw away $25,000 worth of soil. Holy shit.
That's the thing. I'm not throwing it away. I am reusing every little bit of it, but I'm reusing it in ways that are probably not as efficient as
you're using it outdoors rather than reusing it indoors. So.
Yeah, well, we gotta start somewhere, guys.
Hey man, you're slowly coming along.
You guys will get me there.
My backyard right now. I got a fucking pile of cocoa balls sitting in trash bags in my yard. I'm like, which garden bed do I dump them in this time? You know what I mean?
Just blow them up, dude.
I only dump them in specific areas.
8 feet high.
Beds. I put them in other areas because I'm trying to do no-till beds. that's an experiment, you know. So I don't want to add my cocoa roots balls there because there might be some nutrients in that shit. So that stuff goes other places. The front yard needs some. I might dump them in the front. The front yard might smell like cannabis for a little while. That'd be nice.
Probably does now, right?
Yeah.
Gotta change some carbon filters.
Yeah, I don't know. That's super. Maybe it's not a huge production garden. To be fair, it's just my home garden, but it's super satisfying to just roll my plants around in their sip containers and fucking. I've moved away from the cover crops. I wasn't a fan. There's some upkeep involved there that I didn't fucking want to deal with. So I'm a big fan of just a thick mulch layer of the stems, and keeps the airflow good in the under canopy. And then harvest my plant and fucking re-amend and plant the next one in. I fucking love it.
I gotta chime in real quick here and remind everybody after I heard it on YouTube, not live, after the fact. Spartan Grown's got a YouTube channel, everybody. He's doing some shorts, and if you want to learn how he amends his
definitely.
soil, go check it out. I'm sure he'll have a video soon, if not already. I think wasn't that the first one you started off with or something?
It's like
Yeah, that was the first one I
Q&A,
did.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's just that's a selfish thing for me, man. It's just I'm going to start just when people.
Yeah, Spartan, it's really selfish to share,
No, it's for me to answer questions, so I can just like link them to it. Bam. There's the answer to your question.
It's a lot easier. It's more streamlined,
Yeah.
Communication is
So
key.
I'm gonna do it at my when I have time and stuff, so that way it doesn't have to be at any kind of schedule. It can be.
You didn't want to just copy and paste forum posts or anything like that.
No. No. So yeah, that was the first one I started with because that's the one I've been getting most lately, and the one that I think is the most important that doesn't get addressed enough, or at least people don't consider enough. It's like, hey, and you don't have to. It's scary. Yeah, no, I had to do it myself, but I'm not asking you to flip your whole grow. I'm just saying try one. Just try one. It might be worth it. You might like it.
To the organic side.
I got the space.
You will like it.
I got 2 4x8 tables, and I got another 4 lights on the other side that are just all plants on the ground. So I'm sure I can figure something out. I also thought about I got the space in the middle. I'm like, man, I should just get one more GML light and just throw it right in the middle, and like that will be like the experimental one.
There you go.
Right in front of the air
Sounds good,
conditioner and below the CO2 burner and the dehumidifier. Like it's
So
a
it's gonna
prime
be
spot.
like the
There's no
Hell
light.
yeah.
spot for terps, man.
Yeah, there's just no light there. There's a lot of cross lighting, but it's probably like 30 watts per square foot. Probably not even that. It's probably like 20 watts per square foot at this point, or whatever the GLI equivalent is. DLI equivalent is. It's been so long since I've done these calculations. It just had the same lights hanging there for 2 years now.
Spartan, how old is your soil that you've been using in your
I think the oldest ones are probably around 3 years old by now. So I don't write anything down. So I would say at the least 3 years old, and maybe more. But
it's got to be at least.
sometimes
Been doing the show.
there's sometimes I've got so many of them too because before when I was a caregiver, with a full card, I was having to grow a lot more, and now I don't. So I have a lot of them that sit just fucking chill in between cycles. They might be a couple months before I even get to them, and they dry out. Some will dry out, and that's a bitch when they dry out because it takes fucking almost a day just to get them resaturated to hold water.
Yeah,
but it's so nice to not have to buy. I mean, I do still go to the grocery store once in a while, but I'm buying one bag at a time. It's like I'm going getting one bag and coming and leaving.
If you are trying to water something that is completely dried out like that, how usually it'll like splash all over the place. One simple tip if you're a new person is you can use some kind of a surfactant with that. Whether you want to use like something organic like soap nuts, or if you want to try something like 1 dollop of, and I mean small, like a drop of Castile soap, like the Dr. Bronner's stuff. You can also use Dawn dish soap. There's even like fancy brands that are cannabis ones that basically is like surgical soap. But you definitely want
Yeah,
to be
'cause
able
the
to
cheap
break
one.
that surface tension so that it's not just, turning into a butt chugging experience. There we go. I brought it all the way back around to butt chugging, guys. All right.
There you go. That's gonna make Georgia Grow guy happy.
Hey, you talked about going to a dispensary, Spartan. I wanted to talk about my experience recently in San Diego. I brought some.
When was I talking about going to a dispensary?
I don't know.
I don't know. I swear, you just something about buying a bag of flour or something.
What? Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Weed is working.
We're talking
fine.
about, I don't know, something else, but we're gonna segment this anyway. I bought some
Hard
stuff.
segue.
Real hard, just a left turn, like. Anyways, dispensary weed.
You got to work in our
If you
transitions,
guys have
bro.
bought some, I want to hear your opinions on like what's going on nowadays, because I went out to San Diego and I gotta shout out Kana. Like I don't know a whole lot about their brand other than I met like the owners on a beach, or the owner's parents on a beach one time. They shared them with me and I'm like, hey, my buddy that's out in San Diego loves these, and like, told me the whole story. But they're pretty good. I will say I took this whole package plus like a couple other their like little drops or whatever gummies before I got on the plane on the way home, and it made for a quick flight. That was nice. But the infused stuff is really big out in California, the infused pre-rolls and stuff. So these are, I'm sure you guys have heard of Stizzy, right? That's like a pen brand or whatever. I think out here, pretty common. I know my buddies got them out there too. But so cannabis infused pre-rolls. And this was something interesting because, when I think of pre-rolls, especially when I think of California pre-rolls from based on my own experience, they're pretty rough. And, pre-rolls at dispensaries are pretty rough, generally speaking anyway. It's typically shake or whatever. My friend was telling me about this one brand he liked because it was like, probably half shake, half bud. They, they hit pretty well. I'm like, oh, God bless you. But these ones are pretty interesting because it said they're Blue Dream, and they're called Stizzy 40s, sativa, of course, premium indoor cannabis infused pre-roll. Well, what does the infusion mean? And what does 40s mean? It means they're plus 40%. So they're really trying to like really infuse it. So it's a half gram pre-roll. It's extra strength 40%. It's keef coated, live resin infused, and terp enhanced. And what I got out of this was essentially they took probably shake, ground up some old, bubble hash that didn't move, stuffed it in a pre-roll, sprayed or dipped it in some fake terps, and rolled it in some keef that was old. And I mean, yeah, it worked. It got you high, but it just tasted like nothing like real weed. And it reminded me, I think of the show last week, or maybe it was the late sesh or something. You guys were talking about like blueberry terps or something back in the day, and how it all just kind of tasted fake. And that's what this tasted like. It just tasted so fake. The terp enhanced was clearly non-cannabis derived. The Blue Dream wasn't Blue Dream. It was just whatever blueberry terps.
It's like using Juicy J's back in the day.
Yeah, man.
To roll the fucking the swaggy shit, man.
Yeah, grow weed that tastes good. You don't need to do all that, but hey,
How did it smoke? Was it real? Like, was it a lot of the time those things smoke like shit, like they fucking drip in and fucking, or was it?
So
fine?
this one, I mean, it was white ash, so that's good. And it did burn consistently, and I think that's because it was coated in terpenes and hash, so it didn't really have a choice. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, I think the way they crafted the whole thing was a good way to burn them. But I don't think I have a raw cone or anything handy, but you'll notice these are kind of small. They're not like a full size joint or anything.
I hate those, dude. That's become the new thing, is to sell
dog
like
walkers
in a joint. Yeah,
like dog walkers. It's like go on a dog walk or whatever. I personally, I kind of like them. I've talked about this before a couple weeks ago, and Spartan called me out for it. But like, I don't mind smoking a half a joint, putting it down, coming back to it. Spartan's like, oh, I just finished the whole thing, but I don't need to. I'll come back to it. I don't.
What I don't like about it is that if on the really short shorts like that, who wear short shorts, apparently for girly wears short shorts, but on those really short ones, you get like one or two good hits, and then it's a hot hit because you're right there, because the joint is basically as long as the filter.
Yeah. So I looked into that, and so Raw specifically, they have this whole line of dog walkers, and they're all 70 millimeters long, but the tips come in 3 different sizes. And so I was looking at, doing something like this myself, of course. But I'm like, man, I can't go with the short tips. like a 70 millimeter joint already is pretty small. It's like kind of like lighting a roach. And when I do that, I have to like pull
Get a little
back
close to the
Spartan
beard.
nose. Yeah, Spartan nose. I gotta
You-
pull back the beard. Like
So what you need is you
You're
need
one
one
of
of
these-
those old timey, like they call them aqueducts for cigarettes. It's like the
Yeah,
long thing,
yeah.
you know, the old movie star shit. That's what you got to get, man.
it's like Cruella DeVille style, you know?
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
No Dalmatians were harmed in
I
the
know.
process of lighting this short snap.
But
Shout out to my buddy Abolish Farms there. He showed me a trick. You can always stick those once you get close to the filter, you just stick it right in your bong bowl
yeah.
and hit it, and you can smoke it all the way down. You
You know what?
don't have to worry about the beard at all.
It's
The,
true.
the other tip I can give you is that instead of a lot of people when they try to light a joint will tip their head down and try to do it. Do the exact opposite. Kick your head up like you're trying to look at the ceiling,
Mhm.
and then bring the flame down from above.
That's a
towards
great pro
that.
tip, man.
Then
That
you
really
won't
is.
light your shit on fire.
Or your eyebrows, your eyelashes, or or your
Damn
nose
hemp.
hairs, or
I hear that even works with hemp wick too, Spartan.
I don't expose my neck to anybody when I'm talking
I
about.
don't expose my throat to those psychological vampires.
That's right, man. That's a weakness right there.
do you wear a tie ever?
The beard
Yeah,
is
I've
the
worn a
tie.
couple ties. I've worn a tie a
Ooh.
few times.
It's
A
easy
few times in my life. I don't enjoy it. No, I don't enjoy it.
No, I mean I don't either, but it's the easiest way to strangle someone, Spartan. I'm surprised you give your neck up like that to somebody.
Clip on, man.
Yeah, it was a clip on the whole time.
Fuck your head, mate.
Gotcha.
I try. My
Bouncer
tie
down, man.
is shorter than my arm. It is shorter than my arm, though. So you gotta-
You're gonna come into this punch before you grab a hold of
that's right. I can do some damage.
it. And the Spartan legs are even longer, so you can get Spartan kicked on the way in.
Kicks like a mule.
Absolutely. The legs are more dangerous than the arms, probably.
At least he's
I think
honest.
it's time to smoke
Probably
another
the same
joint.
about that. It's time to what?
Smoke another joint, man.
was gonna say,
It's,
hashtag, man.
it's 10:51. We're creeping up on the end here, man.
Chat, I got a
Sure.
question for you. What's the perfect dose of edibles? How many milligrams? Because a lot of times you get limited to 5, 10 milligrams, sometimes 50, sometimes 200. What is the perfect dose for you for edibles?
Yes.
Yes.
Panel, what about you guys?
Yes.
Okay, Spartan's got his answer in. Tara, Patrick.
Like 200. I think I would, when somebody said it was past two, like if somebody gave me offered 300, I'd probably eat that. If somebody offered me 4, I would probably break it in half. So yeah, 300 is probably my limit.
All right, we know what to give Spartan next time you see him.
Probably
Legit gonna
about
do
one.
that.
I was probably like, I think 100 to 150 is a good, nice,
I was gonna say 150.
you know.
I guess
but
it depends on if somebody.
more than that, so.
Wait. I had to. Was it tested at a lab at something?
Yeah,
Like,
we're gonna
this was-
assume
this
you
was
have the
something-
actual. Yeah.
Okay, this was something that came from a dispo because it came from a dispo
No, it
100.
doesn't have
That's
to.
like
Let's
a,
just assume
like
the
a
dosage
50.
is correct.
okay, yeah, I'll stand by that. Then.
Okay.
I'm sorry, because a dispo 100 feels like nothing to me. It's like,
I
what the
feel you,
fuck did
dude.
I just eat?
That's what I'm
Yeah, but
saying.
when
I took
eat stuff that's
125. I'm like,
made, but when I eat stuff that's made by friends and constituents, I find that it makes me think like, wow, if they got this tested, I wonder if this would test really high, because like they just seem to.
My Spartan
different,
cookies only
man.
tested at about 100. I think it was something like that.
Yep, and eat 2 of those,
right.
and then
yeah,
follow
yeah,
with
the-
a third,
this-
and like hooey.
So what about you, Red and Becca? What's your guys' doses?
Like 25 milligrams.
Yes, I knew it was coming somewhere.
I was gonna say like 15. Like I'll have 2 if I want it, but like if I want like a chill, I don't know.
But that's actual like tested
Right.
probably distillate, metric shit. That's just knowing what the dose is. I can't say I even know what my doses are if anybody gives me stuff that it doesn't have a lab result on it. You know what I mean? So I can't quantify what it is. That's why I say it's like 25, 30 milligrams. I know when my comfort level starts kicking in, or like anything more than that, I just go to sleep. Honestly, it just puts me in a mode where I just go to bed.
Yeah,
I use them to sleep.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I've done the 350 milligram chocolate bar and had a full on like
Experience.
mushroom panic attack. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like you're just going deep. But I also like sometimes, and I really think edibles is a tolerance thing. I think that's where we have to be fair. I mean, this all is, but I think the edible tolerance is something that builds and lasts a little bit longer than a like a smoking tolerance, if you will, because you can change strain to strain, sometimes day to day, and it changes your tolerance. Whereas an edible tolerance, or at least for me, seems to build up over time. And if I'm maybe a few times a week having some edibles, at a certain point, 80 milligrams, 100 milligrams, like that's not even gonna like kickstart it, but I think comfortably right now 100 milligrams is like a pretty solid, not even necessarily starting point. I guess if I was to start, maybe start with 50 just to know the edible kind of thing, but I'm probably going to build up to 100 pretty quickly and then go from there.
Oof.
Woof, Becca.
Just a tolerance thing though, just I'll get you some peppermint bark and you guys will be good by Sunday.
Yeah. If I know what the edible is, I'll start off with 100. So depending on if it's something I know, then I'll start off with 100. But usually I'll start with 50 just to be on the safe side for myself.
Yeah. So doesn't this this all lends itself? Maybe we got 5 minutes
Yeah,
left.
50 during the daytime. I can agree with that.
I mean, how many bags of these do you guys have to eat? Like how many edible, like how many gummies, you know what I mean, would you have to eat throughout the day? I'm not stuffing the whole bag like 40 gummies in my face every day, but that's kind of what it would take.
Well, I'm not trying to become Wilford Brimley with diabetes. But,
That's why I'm into RSO. And that's why my
Yeah.
tolerance is so high.
Yeah.
That's what I just said. My fingers all dirty.
Now I say 15 also because I like to work up. I always start way less. Like I could probably go like 40 pretty comfortably and feel it and be okay and functioning, but much more than that, like
It seems like we all have our foot in the door at half the dosage we expect to be at. But once we kind of creaked and looked inside a little bit, we're like, all right, let's just go that full
Dude,
dosage.
you know what? I see anything grows in the chat says I'll start at 100 and double up after an hour. Man, the first time I met Anything Grows, she is a good one to cable you up to get you to eat more edibles. Like, well, she's like, how many you had? I said, I've had 2. She was like, well, I've had 2 and I'm having a 3rd. You want one? Okay, yeah, sure. There, man.
That's another flavor.
She's a good cook too, so it's dangerous as fuck. Not then.
Exactly.
It's like, yes, I'll have another one of those. Yes, please.
Forget what you're eating. Peppermint though. Peppermint is another good flavor to cover up the taste of cannabis. So that peppermint bark I make, I mean, you're not tasting anything but peppermint candy. Same with those snickerdoodles, like same level as cinnamon. Those are 2 good starting points if you're trying to make something that maybe you want to mask the taste of your green flavored can of butter you made and your
Everybody wants to make gummies though, man. Like everybody that gets into edibles, like, I want to make gummies. Well,
the easiest way and the most non-commercial way to do it, melt down gummies from the store and mix up a bunch of cannabis oil into it and then remold it or whatever you want to do, cut it up, whatever you want to do. A lot of them though have a carrauba wax coating and it kind of makes things a little bit more difficult to do that. You can go buy mixes, you can make it yourself. It's not easy, but gummies, I mean, it's the fun one, it seems like you're not eating a lot when you are.
yeah, man.
it's what a lot of big companies do. They just melt down the store bought gummy
They're
bears.
using the hair bows, man. The good ones.
Stupid. Sugar and distillate.
Yeah.
No, it's not that brand. What is the brand? It's the hair. It's like Arbico. I can't do that R and the R.
Albanese. It's Albanese. The Albanese.
Yes,
Oh, there
that
you go.
one. That's
There you
the
go.
one everyone buys. Because that literally during the pandemic, you couldn't buy those anymore. And I know it's like a logistical chain thing or whatever. I swear it's all the edible makers. Everyone was buying those damn things. So the word got out and everyone was buying them in bulk. And you couldn't buy bulk anymore. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, no Albanese.
Just
for
like you
Go
running
good
into
luck.
people at Meyer for the dry ice back in the day, right? You
Or
shout out to
toilet
Dab
paper.
Smiths.
Yeah, that wasn't at Meyer, but I don't know if I want to give up the name.
Nah,
It was
you
a
don't have to.
Downriver.
It
spot.
was somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's meeting people in the wild, like, hey, you're here
Yeah.
to get the same thing I am for the same
He's
reason.
looking
I
at
am.
me. I'm looking at him. Like, a nice beard, yeah. Nice beard, yeah. Actually, speaking of dry ice, man, I went to pick up some dry ice on
Like those Wolverine fingers, Red.
that was pretty.
That's some X-Men shit.
It was like 3,000 milligrams of X-Men shit. I went to the dry ice store on Friday, pretty close to close. I kind of always feel bad doing that, but I try to give them enough time to close the doors before I get there, kind of thing, or after I get there.
I was gonna hit you with, speaking of close to closing time here.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to hurry it up, dude. She's told me that 20 minutes before I got there, so like basically 40 minutes or closer to closing time, they had sold 2,500 pounds of dry ice. What were you all doing this weekend?
Yeah.
2,500 pounds in 20 minutes. The hell were you all doing?
That's
this
impressive.
Packing and moving.
It's impressive.
Make us tomorrow, so man.
weekend? I
Yeah,
guess so.
man.
I'm just chilling those Super Bowl beers, I guess. I don't know.
Come back through tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the late sash. Cheers, everybody.